Chapter 281. The Lord Appears. Sokage's words made everyone present deeply agree. The impact of the complete body Susanoo just now made Sekage not dare to underestimate Uchiha. Even though the Uchiha Sasuke in front of him seemed to be at the end of the fight, they still didn't want to. I don't dare to relax at all. After all, the ability of the kaleidoscope to write round eyes is too strange, and I can't tell what Sasuke Uchiha has left behind. Everyone, you have also seen that Sasuke Uchiha is too dangerous, and he must not be allowed to escape. Once he grows up, it will be a major disaster for the entire ninja world. We must take this opportunity to get rid of him. Seeing that the other Sannin were still hesitating at this time, Tsuchikage hurriedly spoke again, and at the same time also explained the benefits, apparently determined to get rid of Sasuke. Although Kakashi was very unhappy, his idea was that Sasuke came out of Konoha, and it was naturally handled by Konoha. The current Sasuke is already at the end of the shot. He should take this opportunity to arrest Sasuke and bring it back to Konoha for disposal. But he couldn't deny the words of Tsukage. After all, what Sasuke did was no longer something that could be treated as an ordinary defector ninja. What's more, even if Sasuke is really brought back to Konoha, it is impossible for Sasuke to turn back. Now that the shadows of other hidden villages are also present, he naturally cannot make a move to cover up Sasuke, and Sasuke is just as Tsukage said, if he really grows up, it will be a major disaster for the entire ninja world. No matter how much he can't bear it, Kakashi can't let Sasuke go, so he didn't express any opinion on Tsukage's proposal. Shadow words. Little devil, go to hell. The other three shadows were not allowed to move at all. The first one to take action was Raikage, who had already hated Uchiha. After confirming that Sasuke Uchiha really had no spare energy, he immediately launched an attack on Sasuke. I saw Raikage at this moment. The whole body was entangled with thunder and lightning, and the momentum soared, rushing towards Sasuke like lightning, and when he shot, he had no energy to spare, vowing to kill Sasuke here. And Sasuke has already felt Raikage's killing intent, but at this moment, his whole body has been dragged down by the kaleidoscope, and he is unable to do such actions to avoid such actions. The only thing he can do at this time is to hold back his eyes. Stinging pain, he locked Raikage's figure with the focal length of his left eye, trying to launch the last killer. Amaterasu. I only heard that Sasuke spit out two words coldly in his mouth, and his eyes suddenly focused, and he directly locked the position of Raikage. In an instant, a black flame appeared out of thin air and fell exactly on Raikage's upper body. What? Not good. I didn't expect this kid to hide this trick. It's the legendary fire of Amaterasu that never goes out. Now Raikage is in trouble. Sasuke's Amaterasu was obviously beyond everyone's expectations, and he couldn't help but exclaim. His eyes looking at Sasuke became extremely dreadful, and at the same time, his ability to react as a strong man was also extremely fast. Just as the black flames had just appeared, they had already shot at the same time. Since Kakashi started the kaleidoscope writing wheel at one time, it seems that he wants to use the divine power to absorb Amaterasu. Gaara has already opened his hands and manipulated the gravel as if to block the black flame grid, and Toing also has no time to spare. He was already holding his palms up, and a white cube suddenly appeared in the middle of the palms. However, the imaginary scene did not appear. Although the Amaterasu condensed by Sasuke seemed to fall on Raikage's body, it turned out to pass through Raikage's body, as if Raikage had a blur of Obito. The ability is average, and then I saw that the Raikage, penetrated by Amaterasu, was gradually disappearing. What? Afterimage. It's so close that my kaleidoscope writing wheel can't capture it. Sasuke was shocked when he saw this scene, and instantly understood what happened. Raikage, who seems to have a violent personality, is actually not as brainless as he seems. When Sasuke reluctantly focused his left eye on him, Raikage had already sensed the crisis and was once burned by Chen's Amaterasu fire. The Raikage still had a fresh memory of this move, so before the fire of Amaterasu appeared, he suddenly accelerated and jumped away from the place, but the speed was too fast to produce afterimages, so that everyone was instantly stunned. The afterimage became Reikage itself. Go to hell, kid. Lei done, Lei Ju level. Just as Sasuke released Amaterasu, Lei Ying was already in the right rear of Sasuke at a speeding speed, and then he lifted up the thunder-type investigation. Carrot's right hand, a hand knife directly slashed at Sasuke's neck. And feeling the strange Sasuke behind him, he hurriedly turned around, but saw the irritable Reikage standing 2 steps away from him, seeing that Reikage's attack was about to come, but at this time Sasuke was powerless. The Amaterasu that he desperately released just now had consumed all his remaining energy. Facing Reikage's ultimate move, he could only watch with unwillingness. Seeing that Sasuke was about to die at the hands of Reikage, and at this critical moment, a figure suddenly appeared in front of Sasuke, blocking Reikage, and then a gray-white skeleton was instantly formed in everyone's incredible eyes. Reikage's slaying sword finally slashed on Susanoo, who appeared inexplicably. Crack tilde. Reikage's powerful blow slashed at Susa, and there were obvious cracks on the white skeleton and there was a crisp bone-cracking sound, but it only caused this level, and it didn't break. Opened Susanoo's defense. Afterwards, before everyone could react, Nasusano had transformed into an arm, clenched his fist when Reikage's attack had just landed, and slammed into the unsuspecting Reikage, instantly knocking Reikage flying. Go out and end up hitting a wall. Boom tilde. I saw that after the wall was hit by Reikage, it couldn't bear the distance, and collapsed in an instant, burying Reikage in it. The remaining 3 shadows obviously did not expect such a change, and it was over before they could stop it. Chapter 282. One stroke shocks 4 shadows. This guy. Sasuke, who was originally tense, was obviously relaxed after seeing this figure, and seemed to have absolute trust in the person in front of him. Sasuke, who was already at the end of the shot, also collapsed for a while because of the relaxed spirit. Down. I saw that the visitor looked the same as Sasuke except for the clothes. It was Uchiha Chen who had been watching the battle in the dark. Seeing that Sasuke was about to die at the hands of Reikage, he suddenly shot and instantly blocked the 2. Sasuke was rescued in front of him. Chen looked at Sasuke, who was slumped on the ground, and said with a chuckle, "Sasuke, you did a good job, you can stay in my space for the time being, and then leave it to me." As he spoke, Sasuke was included in the original space. After Chen had done all of this, Chenkai turned his gaze to the remaining 3 shadows, with an indifferent smile on his face, with a hint of sarcasm in his eyes. Uchiha Chen. Several shadows looked at this young man with the same appearance as Sasuke. They recognized it at a glance, and couldn't help exclaiming. After all, Uchiha Chen has a fierce reputation, and even the Earth shadows who have never had contact with him have a solemn expression like a great enemy. Sasuke Uchiha's performance just now let them know the power of Uchiha. They didn't dare to ignore it, and Uchiha Chen, who is still above Sasuke in terms of strength and reputation, made them not panic. After all, Toying is an old fried dough stick who has experienced a lot of wind and rain. After the initial shock, he has calmed down. With a leisurely old man, he joked, "I just solved one, and another more difficult one jumped out." The old bones really can't stand the toss. Compared with the calmness of Tsuchikage, Kakashi, who represented Hokage, could not calm down. He clearly knew the horror of the person in front of him. The murderer who subverted the entire Konoha with just one person was not as it seemed on the surface. Harmless, Kakashi's heart lifted after Chen appeared, and his left eye, which had turned into a kaleidoscope, was always locked on Chen Uchiha, and he didn't dare to relax in the slightest. And Gaara also recovered his facial paralysis after the initial surprise, but his eyes were full of solemnity and alertness, and he said in his indifferent voice, "Uchiha Chen, it really is you." At this time, Chen was not in a hurry to take action. After sending Sasuke away, he had no worries. No one could stop him from doing anything he wanted, so he was not in a hurry, just smiled indifferently and replied, "You seem to have expected me to come, didn't you?" Tsukage floated in the air with a smile on his face and said, "Huh. You guys are hiding really well. From the beginning, we really didn't expect anyone else to hide here. When Sasuke launched an attack at the same time, we all felt a trace of chakra fluctuations. It should be leaked out accidentally while you were worried about Sasuke. Really? So that's it. Hearing Tsuchikage's answer, Chen also understood what was going on. It turned out that when the four shadows attacked Sasuke at the same time, Shigego did not control the chakra out of concern for Sasuke, and inadvertently leaked it out, although it was only a flash. Died. If you change to some ordinary ninjas, you may not feel it, but you must know that the ninjas present are not ordinary characters, and they have already noticed that someone is peeping at that moment, but they were attacking Sasuke at the time, so I didn't have time to do it. Just express it. Uchiha Chen. Just when Chen was about to continue to make fun of a few words, he heard a roar interrupting his conversation. Chen Dan smiled and followed the sound, and saw a sudden burst of huge energy fluctuations in the ruins that had buried Lei Ying. In an instant, the pile of ruins was blasted out as if it had received a powerful impact, and a robust figure was revealed, which was the Lei Ying who had been knocked away by Chen before. Although he was thrown by Susanoo with a punch, Reikage, who had a thunderbolt armor, resisted Susan's blow, and he didn't suffer any substantial damage except that he looked a little embarrassed. After seeing Rain, Chen wasn't surprised. Still with an expression that was neither salty nor indifferent, he said in a pointed way, "Oh, so it was Rain, is your injury healed?" At this time, Reikage's eyes widened in anger, and the momentum of his whole body reached its peak. Electric arcs were flashing all over his body. His angered eyes seemed to shoot out fire. Looking at Uchiha Chen from a distance, he wanted to eat his flesh raw, and now he hearing the ridicule in Uchiha Chen's tone, it seemed like a mockery to Reikage, reminding him of the humiliation he suffered in Union Village, which made it even more difficult for Reikage to suppress the anger in his heart. Without any nonsense, he just let out a sound. Roaring, he suddenly rushed towards Uchiha Chen. "Reikage, wait a minute." Seeing Reikage being so tyrannical, the remaining three shadows are already secretly not good, and Toying, who is familiar with Reiking's temperament, has already stopped it, but the furious Reikage has already ignored everything else. Drink only death. For so many days, I have been thinking about seeing Uchiha Chen again, and now I have finally met him again. How can I let Lei Yingshan give up and only want to tear up the culprit who caused Union Village to suffer great pain? Go to hell, Uchiha Chen. Under the stimulation of Lei Dun, Lei Ying's speed is like running thunder, and with the blessing of anger, the speed is even faster. In just a split second, he has already rushed in front of Chen, condensing the strength of his whole body into the only remaining one. On his right arm, he suddenly bombarded the seemingly defenseless Uchiha Chen's face. Hey, the defeated general, the Union Village battle, hasn't let you learn to behave. Facing Lei Ying's full-strength blow, Chen was not afraid, and there was no panic on his face. On the occasion of his arrival, he suddenly launched the technique of Flying Thunder God, and disappeared in place in an instant. Reikage, who lost his target, was punched in the air, but before he was allowed to lose his momentum, he looked for the enemy's traces, and suddenly noticed a threat, and before he had time to take defensive measures, he already felt the back of his head. He was caught, and then an irresistible force suddenly pushed him to the ground, making his entire face come into intimate contact with the ground. Bang tilde. There was another loud noise, and the fragile ground could not withstand this huge force, and instantly burst into a large shallow pit, while Reikage lay in the middle of the shallow pit. Behind him, Uchiha Chen was pressing with one hand. He was holding Reikage's head. Apparently it was him who caused this situation. It turned out that at the moment when Reikage's fist was about to hit Chen launched the Flying Thunder God technique and instantly appeared behind Reikage. When Reikage didn't have time to stop because of the attack, he quickly reached out and grabbed the back of Reikage's head. And then suddenly exerted force and pressed Reiying's head to the ground, but Reiying was caught off guard and couldn't resist Chen's enormous force, and was finally forcibly pressed to the ground by Chen. At this time, everyone present was already stunned by this scene. Reikage, who had been invincible before, was actually subdued by the opponent after just one face-to-face with Uchiha Chen. Such a scene is undoubtedly a scene. The visual shock leads them to doubt their own eyes. They all knew that Uchiha Chen was very strong, but they didn't expect it to reach such a level. They only learned about Uchiha Chen's strength from intelligence, and they had never seen it with their own eyes. And now it has undoubtedly broken their usual cognition, making them not know what to say for a while. Kankuro looked at the shocking scene in front of him. His whole body was already soaked in cold sweat from fright, as if he suspected that he was dreaming, and murmured, Is this Uchiha Chen? Reikage was defeated. Uchiha Chen. I didn't expect this to happen. Tamari, who was walking with Kankuro, was also extremely shocked, and looked at Uchiha Chen with unbelievable eyes. Even the always calm Toying, after seeing the strength of Uchiha Chen, the expression on his face changed from disapproval to solemn, but Toying is someone who has experienced a lot of troubles, so he showed panic. But secretly said in his heart, it was just a face-to-face that brought down that bad boy Reikage. This Uchiha Chen is just like the information. It is too strong. It seems that the two pieces from Union Village and Konoha Village are too strong. It's not an exaggeration. Are the Uchiha clan all monsters? I don't know when. The cameo guard of Hokage and Kakashi who came to the Five Shadows meeting, Metka has come to Kakashi and asked in a deep voice, Kakashi, is that guy Uchiha Chen? Konoha. Well, it's him, Uchiha Chen. Damn, this guy, I can't spare him no matter what. After getting the answer, Kai was filled with indignation, and his whole body was full of momentum. Kai, don't do it yet. As you can see, even Reikage is not his opponent. The purpose of our visit this time is to unite with other shadows to deal with Uchiha Chen and Xiao's organization. Let's see the reactions of each shadow first. Damn. Hearing Kakashi's words, although Matekai was unwilling, he also withdrew his momentum and stood beside Kakashi watching. Chen's move was too shocking, and instantly shocked everyone present, so that people in each village did not act rashly for a while. Chapter 283, A Gift to Four Shadows. Chen's one move stunned everyone present, so that they did not act rashly for a while, but the two guards of Reikage saw Uchiha Chen trampling Reikage like this, and it was impossible to remain indifferent. Boss! Lord Reikage! I saw the two exclaimed, and then rushed towards Uchiha Chen. Although they knew Uchiha Chen's strength, even if the two joined forces, it was impossible to move Uchiha Chen, but the two rushed forward without hesitation. In the past, not only because of their responsibilities, but also because of the bond with Reikage, and their cooperation over the years, they are no longer just an ordinary relationship between superiors and subordinates. HMPH, give it back to you. Seeing Darui and Shijung rushing up without fear of death, Chen didn't take them seriously, but after a cold snort, he suddenly kicked Lei Ying towards Darui. Darui, who was moving fast, suddenly saw a figure rushing towards him. It was Reikage. Darui's face was suddenly startled. He immediately stopped sprinting, and hurriedly caught Reikage. However, the moment Darui touched Reikage's body, a huge force came from Reikage, making the unsuspecting Darui unable to withstand this powerful force, and flew upside down together with Reikage. It stopped after a distance. After Darui stopped his figure, she immediately jumped over and hurriedly asked, Lord Reikage, Darui, are you alright? Darui squeezed his numb wrist and replied, It's okay, but Uchiha Chen is so powerful, we have to be careful. But Reikage ignored Darui and Nishi, and after landing on the ground again, a terrifying aura erupted again, turned around and glared at Chen Uchiha, and roared, Uchiha, this old man is going to kill you. As soon as the words fell, they wanted to start again. Darui and Nishi saw that it was not good, and quickly reached out to block Reikage to stop. Boss, Lord Reikage, calm down first. Get out of the way. At this time, Reikage was so angry that he would not listen to the advice of the two at all, and suddenly pushed Darui, who was standing in front of him, away, and then attacked Uchiha Chen again. Reikage, slow down. Just when Reikage was about to continue attacking, Tuakage did not know when he had appeared in front of Reikage, blocking Reikage's path, and stopped Reikage, and Gaara and Kakashi also rushed. Come here and stop Reikage's impulse together. Seeing that someone stopped him again, Reikage said angrily. Tsukage, Hokage, Kazekage, you guys hurry up and get out of the way, otherwise I won't be able to spare you either. In the face of Reikage's rebuke, Senkage also knew Reikage's mood at the moment, and did not show impatience. Gaara said expressionlessly, Reikage, in your current state, you are not Uchiha Chen's opponent at all. Calm down first. For Sanying's dissuasion, Lei did not appreciate it, and roared impatiently at Sanying, Humph. I don't need you to tell me what to do, old man. The oldest of the four shadows, Toying, frowned and scolded the irritable Reikage. Enough is enough, you are also a dignified Reikage. You are not an ignorant kid who just came out of the ninja school, how can you be so violent? Don't forget, we are not here to watch you mess around alone. If you insist on doing it again, then there is no need for us to stay here and waste time. Although Tsukage's words were rude, they had an unexpected effect. After hearing the words of Tsukage, Reikage seemed to have realized his impulse and remembered the purpose of initiating the Five Shadows meeting. The momentum of time has dropped significantly, and the mood has also calmed down. Thinking of this, Lei Ying also suppressed the impulse in his heart, and said in a deep voice unwillingly, Damn, I know. Although the irritability in his heart has been calmed down, it does not mean that Reiying will give up like this. It is just that he will not fight against Chen for the time being. At this time, he is still staring at Chen angrily. A lot of power roared at Shi in a low voice. Shi, you treat me first, I'll take care of that guy later. Although Reikage's voice was not loud, the people present were not ordinary people. Naturally, they all heard Reikage's words. Although he felt disapproval in his heart, he said it as if Uchiha Chen was pressed to the ground like a dead dog just now. The person is not like him, but because of Reikage's affection, everyone did not show it. For a while, after Reikage calmed down, the scene finally fell into a short-lived calm. The two sides formed a confrontation. One was the four shadows of the four ninja villages and the guards of each shadow. This lineup can be said to be the pinnacle of each village. The combat power and aura are naturally incomparably powerful. On the other hand, although there are only three people, Uchiha Chen and Chongo and Shueyu who have just appeared, it seems that the number of people is thin, but in terms of momentum, they are not inferior to the other party by half a point, and even overwhelm the other party, making the people of Shinobi Village did not dare to relax. When the two sides temporarily formed a confrontation, Chen took the lead in breaking the silence and teased with a chuckle, it seems that I have calmed down a bit, which just saves me a lot of effort. As for you want to clean up me, there are other so many opportunities. Quote. Following Chen's speech, the side of Shinobi Village was no longer silent, only to see Matekai next to Kakashi glaring at Chen Uchiha and asked sharply, Chen Uchiha, you are a heinous fellow, what are you here for? For what purpose? Don't be nervous, I'm not here to cause trouble today, but I heard that Reiying is holding a meeting of the Five Shadows here, so I just wanted to join in the fun and give you a big gift by the way. Gaara said in his characteristic indifferent tone, Humph. You know that this is the place where the Five Shadows meet, but you dare to enter without authorization. Aren't you afraid that the Five Shadows will join forces to kill you here? Or are you talking about you? You already think arrogantly that our Five Shadows have nothing to do with you. Hearing Gaara's words, Chen smiled nonchalantly, as if he didn't care about the Five Shadows joining forces in Gaara's mouth, and said jokingly, Five Shadows. Is it missing a water shadow? How can it be called the Five Shadow Talks? Quote. Chen's teasing made everyone in Nin Village frown, and they were a little dissatisfied with the absence of Wuyin Village, but they also knew that it was not the time to struggle with this issue, and they saw Lei Ying snorted coldly, and then angrily said, Humph. Stop talking nonsense, hurry up and say your intentions, otherwise you will have no chance. Haha, as I said, I'm just here to give you a big gift this time. Facing Lei Ying's threat, Chen didn't pay any attention to it. While he said jokingly, he slowly raised his right hand, and following Chen's movements, the people on the opposite side were also full of vigilance, as if on guard. Chen suddenly became troubled. Just as everyone was nervous, a special bamboo hat appeared out of thin air on Chen's raised right hand, and with the appearance of the hat, the people of each ninja village felt strange at first, and when they saw the characteristics of the hat clearly, his face changed greatly. I saw that the seemingly ordinary hat in Chen's hands was similar to the hats carried by the previous figures. To everyone's surprise, there was indeed a big water embroidered on the hat. This is Shui Ying's. Chapter 284, Chen's Plan. When Chen took out the so-called gift, that is, Shui Ying's hat, the field became silent, and it was obvious that he had not recovered from this change. None of the people present here are stupid people. From the connotation revealed by Uchiha Chen just now, and thinking about the fact that people from Kurikan will be absent from such an important meeting, it is not difficult to imagine what happened. The water shadow hat in Bo Chen's hand, which further confirmed the conjectures of the shadows. For a while, they all looked at Bo Chen with fear, and they communicated in low voices. This is Shui Ying's hat. Can it be said that Shui Ying has already? It turns out that it is no wonder that the people of Wuyin village will be absent from the meeting. It turns out that Mizukage has been poisoned by Uchiha Chen. Even Kage was killed. This Uchiha Chen is too scary, but in this way, Wuyin village will definitely not give up. In any case, after seeing the hat in Chen's hands, the shadows could no longer sit back and watch. You must know that they were shadows on the same level as them. They were shadows in the 5 great kingdoms, not just the village chief of a small ninja village. But they were poisoned. How could they not be shocked? Even the most stable Toying couldn't sit still at the moment. I saw Tu Ying floating in the air at the moment, staring at Chen with a solemn face, and asked, Uchiha Chen, why is Sui Ying's hat in your hands? Could it be that Su Ying has really been killed by you? What do you think? Chen did not explicitly admit or deny, but left a meaningful sentence, but from his playful smile, everyone had already guessed the answer. After learning of the result, everyone was unable to calm down, but Konkuro, who was beside Gaara, said sternly, You bastard, you dared to kill Shui Ying. I didn't expect that after Union Village and Konoha, even Wuyin Village was also poisoned, and in the past, you captured Sand Ninja and blackmailed Gaara in the Land of Wind. Do you really think that the 5 ninja villages have nothing to do with you? Uchiha Chen, hello great courage. Huh. Facing Konkuro's stern scolding, Chen just cast a glance at him and let out a disdainful sarcasm. The purpose of Lei Ying's meeting was well known to everyone present. Since Chen dared to break in so blatantly, he would not be afraid of the so-called Si Ying. Chen's purpose was actually very simple, to let Si Ying know Akatsuki's organization and his own threat to the ninja world united the 5 major ninja villages. Only after the 5 great ninja villages are united can they be able to threaten the Akatsuki organization. In this way, even if Uchiha Obito is not afraid of the 5 great ninja villages, after all, the Akatsuki organization has no high-end battles except for the 100,000 splits of Baiju power. As a result, Obito is even more eager to pull Chen into their lineup, because Chen's strength is already something he can't ignore. An unstable factor that even he could not grasp. In Chen's thoughts, he really intends to unite with the Xiao organization. The reason is the tailed beast in the hands of the Xiao organization. That is his goal. If he wants to get the tailed beast from the Xiao organization, one is that the Xiao organization starts a war and forcibly from the Xiao organization. It is indeed much simpler to snatch the tailed beast from Obito's hands, because even if Nagato and Obito join forces, Chen is confident that they can defeat them, but this will undoubtedly make the 5 great ninja villages sit down and collect fishermen, which is not what Chen wants. Don't look at the fact that Chen seems to be very relaxed when dealing with Konoha and Yunren. Once the 5 major ninja villages are united, it will be even more difficult than the Xiao organization. So Chen does not want to destroy the Xiao organization, so at least he can be contained for him. Let's go to the 5 great ninja villages. Since Ming can't grab it, there is only cooperation left, and join forces to deal with the 5 major ninja villages. In this way, Chen can ask the tailed beasts to share as an ally, and Chen also has the tailed beasts that Obito needs. Chen believes that Obito will definitely agree to this request. However, before collaborating with the Xiao organization, Chen had to let Obito know his abilities. If Obito casually invited him and agreed, it would be like being subdued by Obito, which was undoubtedly a bit shorter than the other party, so he only when he was invited before Obito, he strongly refused. He put on a strong stance, just to let Obito know that it wasn't that Uchiha Chen wanted to cooperate, but that your organization took the initiative to seek cooperation with me, so that not only could we obtain more favorable conditions, but also Obito wanted to cooperate. Express a signal that he Uchiha Chen is not your subordinate, and does not need to follow your orders. You have no right to instruct me to do things. Don't talk so much nonsense to him. I have already said that this bastard Uchiha Chen is a very vicious guy. He can't continue to do things like this. We will join forces with the Four Shadows today, and we must get rid of him here, otherwise it will be endless trouble for our 5 countries. At this time, Lei Ying could no longer hold back. He, who was full of resentment against Chen Uchiha, could not calm down after learning that Sui Ying might have been killed by Chen Uchiha, and at this time he wanted to unite with the other 3 shadows. To kill Uchiha Chen together. Reikage's words were recognized by the major ninja villages present. After they already knew about the dangers of Uchiha Chen, they had already intentionally eliminated him. Now that they know that Sui Ying may have been killed, they are even more determined. Their thoughts. So after Reikage said that paragraph, one by one, they all launched an attacking posture. Facing the 4 shadows about to join forces to deal with him, Chen didn't feel any pressure. Still with an indifferent expression, he said with a sneer, "Hey, the 4 shadows are joining forces, what a big battle." Humph. Uchiha Chen, you are full of evil. This old man is going to avenge the villagers who were harmed by you in Yunrin village. Chen's indifferent attitude stimulated Lei Ying, only to see Lei Ying growl, and then suddenly a powerful chakra erupted, and everyone in the rest of the 4 ninja village was locked in Chen and was about to start. If you want to kill Uchiha Chen, there is a good chance. Don't yell, Reikage. Just in this situation where the swords were drawn, when everyone saw that the people of Nin village were about to attack in groups, an indifferent voice suddenly sounded in the clubhouse, and then appeared out of thin air in the open space between Si Ying and Chen. A spiral space vortex appeared, and a figure emerged from the vortex. Black-bottomed red cloud robes, standard Shao organization uniform, with a spiral mask on his face covering his face, showing his eyes, dressed like this. There is really only one person in the ninja world, that is a Fei in Shao organization, that is Uchiha takes the soil. Chapter 285, Uchiha Madara. Obito's appearance out of thin air made sighing and the others startled. If it wasn't for Obito's initiative to appear, they would not have noticed that there were still people hiding here. Who is that? 3 generations of toying. Tiantianping Anaji's eyes were slightly blank, looking at the person who had just appeared in front of him, and asked. Damn, this guy's outfit is from Akatsuki's organization. Konkuro's expression changed slightly when he saw Obito's obvious Akatsuki outfit. His younger brother, Gaara of the 4th Kazekage, was organized by Akatsuki. The person grabbed and pulled out the one end that was sealed in the body. If it wasn't for Chiyo's secret technique, Gaara would have already died. At this moment, the enemy is naturally jealous when they meet. Is this the person from the Akatsuki organization? It's just right. Let's solve it together. Reikage roared angrily when he saw that the person who interrupted him was wearing a black robe with red clouds. Go to hell. Before he finished speaking, he saw laying mad dogs burst forth without warning, like a cannonball flickering with an arc, rushing towards Obito who was standing in front of him. In the face of Reikage's tyrannical offensive, Obito who just appeared did not seem to have reacted. Without any action, he stood upright in front of Reikage and was indifferent to Reikage's upcoming attack. I saw Reikage's fast figure, almost instantly rushed to Obito, but the moment Reikage's fist hit Obito, Reikage's face immediately showed a surprised look, because the moment his fist touched his body, Reikage didn't feel any touch, as if it was hit in the air. The figure staggered, and in an instant, Rain had passed through Obito's body without any hindrance, and appeared behind Obito. This strange phenomenon made the people present feel astonished, and Rain's eyes narrowed and he turned back suddenly. Looking at Obito, His eyes were full of surprise and puzzlement. After a brief confrontation, the result was unexpected. Seeing that Reikage's attack failed, as Reikage's bodyguard, Nishi naturally felt a little surprised. Just now. Did Mr. Reikage's attack be dodged? No, I can see it clearly. The boss's fist has already hit that Akatsuki, but I don't know why it will become like this. Compared with she, Darui's strength is naturally a bit stronger, and he is also stronger than she. He could see more clearly, but he couldn't figure out what just happened. Kakashi, who has the power of divine power, also has some understanding of space-based ninjutsu. After seeing Obito's strange ability, he couldn't help but secretly said, Reikage's attack directly penetrated that Akatsuki's body, such a strange ability. Is it space ninjutsu? And why does this Akatsuki member make me feel very familiar? Really, the troublesome guys are one after the other. Uchiha Chen is already very troublesome, and now there is such a strange guy. Does it mean that the Akatsuki organization has already united with Uchiha Chen? If so, it will be troublesome. But Tu Ying said helplessly. At the scene, except for Chen, who already knew about Obito's details, they were all shocked by Obito's strange ability. Before they figured out Obito's ability, the people of Four Ninja Village didn't do anything for a while. Obito seemed very satisfied with the situation he had created, and laughed lightly and then teased. Reikage is really irritable as always. I'm here to tell you something this time, and I'm going to tell you some information by the way, don't worry. Get your hands on it. Reikage had recovered from the stunned blunder just now, and after hearing Obito's ridicule, he immediately said angrily, you bastard. With a roar, Reikage once again threw his fist at Obito, but Obito didn't even lift his eyelids and didn't care about Reikage's attack. The slightest injury once again penetrated Obito's body and returned to the Four Ninja Village. Damn. The light of Lei Dun appeared again. Obviously, Lei Ying would not let go of this result. He gathered his strength again and planned to attack Obito. However, just when Lei Ying was about to make a move, he was stopped by the earth. Down. 3 generations of Earth Shadow Onogi was floating in front of Reikage, and said to Reikage, don't be impulsive to Reikage, first listen to what he has to say, and then it's not too late. Then he turned around and said to Obito, speak your purpose, or you will have no chance. Obito's only exposed eyes squinted slightly, glanced at the people in the Four Ninja Village, and then said in an indifferent tone, my name, Madara Uchiha. I want to tell you one thing. After you understand, I want to hear your opinions. Oh, Madara Uchiha. Hearing the name Madara Uchiha, Tsukuge's eyes narrowed, but he didn't show any strange emotions. He didn't seem to believe that the guy in front of him was the legendary Madara Uchiha. Then Tsukuge continued to ask, what are you trying to say? Obito said softly, it's about my purpose. The Moon Eye Project. Tsukuge looked at Obito and said in a deep voice, what is the Moon Eye plan? Although I doubt that Uchiha Madara is still alive, but since you dare to call yourself Madara Uchiha, then with your strength, any plan should be you can do whatever you want, and why be so bewildering? Quote. And Uchiha Obito explained, after the battle with the first Hokage, I was seriously injured, and now I have only an empty shell with my strength and weakness. Reikage's guard. She heard the meaning in Obito's words, and seemed to think of something, and asked aloud, is that a plan to restore your strength? Well, you could say that, but it's not just that. Let me sit down and talk to you slowly. Obito sat down while talking, and then slowly revealed his so-called Eye of the Moon plan to the people in Nin Village. Chapter 286, Declaration of War. On the other side, looking at Obito who was pretending to be arguing with the Four Shadows, Uchiha Chen, who knew the details of the earth, couldn't help sneering secretly in his heart, and said disdainfully, pretend to be a ghost. It was also the people from the Four Ninja Village who were attracted by Obito's words at this time, so no one paid attention to Chen's words. And while the people in Four Ninja Village were listening to Obito arguing, Shueyu said in a low voice to Chen, boss, wasn't that guy killed by you yesterday? Why did he show up again? Here, is he really that Uchiha Madara from the Warring States period? How is this possible? Hey, it's just pretending to be a ghost, but it's true that he is a member of the Uchiha clan, and it's not surprising to be able to use Izanagi. Chen explained with a sneer. Izanagi, is that the technique that Danzo used at that time? So, after receiving Chen's explanation, Shuiyu was relieved and followed Chen's side all the time. He still had some understanding of some pupil techniques of kaleidoscope. Yes, and Danzo had used this technique in the previous battle between Sasuke and Danzo, so he would not feel unfamiliar. On the other hand, after Changwu saw Obito appear, everyone in Nin village focused on Obito, and they were a little slack with them, and hurriedly asked Chen, now people in Nin village. And the Shao organization is here, what should we do next? Do we want to start with you? Chen Shi cruelly looked at Obito and the people in the 4 ninja village who were wrangling, and said, no need, since that guy came out to attract hatred. Let's withdraw as soon as possible. Anyway, my goal has been achieved, there's nothing wrong with staying here. Understood. Shigego and Suzuki expressed their understanding, and at the same time they were ready to retreat at any time. At this time, Obito had already told the people in the 4 ninja village about his plan for the Eye of the Moon, from the immortals of the 6 paths to the 10 tails, and from the 10 tails to the 9-tailed beasts and Renzuli, and then said his so-called Moon Eye plan is to gather the 9-tailed beasts to resurrect the 10-tailed and become the 10-tailed human Zuli, and then launch the infinite moon reading to fuse the entire ninja world and even all things together, be the perfect plan for heaven and earth to be one. This is my Moon Eye plan, which is to regenerate this world and create a world of complete peace. There will always be only beauty and tranquility, and there will be no more wars and gunpowder. Obito said in a deep voice, describing the infinite moon. After reading the scene, at the end, he said, okay, my plan has been fully told to you. Then, as the 5 shadows, what kind of answer will you give me? Although the moon reading world described by Obito sounds perfect, none of the people here are idiots. After understanding the infinite moon reading, they all thought of the terribleness of it, and it is impossible to agree to this crazy plan. As soon as the voice of the native language fell, the 4th Raikage immediately shouted, HMPH, what a joke, how could the world be handed over to a person like you? Although Gaara's face still remained indifferent, his tone also seemed extremely calm. The illusory piece is just a lie. It has no meaning at all, only the real peace is what we want to pursue. Kakashi also said solemnly, living in that illusory world has no meaning, no hope, no dreams, everything is just escaping from reality. Tiantianping Anamu looked at the other 3 shadows and said with a chuckle, it seems that everyone's opinions are unified. Then he looked at Obito again, the smile on his face had subsided, and he said solemnly, it's not so much to be one with the world, but in my opinion, what you call peace is nothing but turning the world into yours. Forget it, how could we possibly promise you this kind of thing, what do you think of us? Obito got Saying's answer, was silent for a moment, and finally said in a deep voice, Suoga, although I had expected such an answer from the beginning, but after hearing it with my own ears, I was still a little disappointed. Ah, I have to say, you made an unwise choice. Toying retorted, Humph, it's not up to you to decide whether it's the wrong choice, it's just your ambition, it's not really for peace at all, and your hypocritical peace can only be lived in a dream. People will choose. Quote. Tilde. Hearing Tsukage's rebuttal, Obito let out a chuckle, and then said, what can you do with the 5 cages? Actually, you should all understand that. There has never been true peace, and there is no difference between hope and giving up. The world has become what it is now under your leadership, and you can't change anything at all. And we have collected most of the tailed beasts so far, only the 9 tails of Konoha are left. You still keep Konoha the Uzumaki Naruto handed over to help me complete the Moon Eye plan, otherwise, the war will come. Now all the tailed beasts except the 9-tailed person Zuli have been arrested, and Naruto Uzumaki has also been sent to Miaomu Mountain to learn immortality, so the people of Shao's organization have not found Naruto at all, and now Raking is holding 5 in the shadow talks. They will definitely mention the arrest of Zuli from various villages, and then deal with the Shao organization, so Obito thinks that Naruto is hidden. Start a war. As for the ones in Uchiha Chen's hands, Obito thinks that as long as he joins forces with Uchiha Chen and gives him some benefits, it is not difficult to get them over. After all, in Obito's cognition, even if the tailed beast stays in Uchiha Chen's hands have no other uses other than combat power, and with the strength of Uchiha Chen, there is no need to use the power of the tail beast at all, so the tail beast is only available to Uchiha Chen. Nothing, as long as he convinces Uchiha Chen, then the other party will definitely hand over the tailed beast. What? War? Are you serious? Knowing that Obito seems to be going to start a war, this is obviously beyond the Four Shadows' expectations. He looks at Obito in surprise. Only Reikage, who caught a message from Obito's words, immediately roared at Obito, "There are only 9 tails left, could it be that the 8 tails have already been taken by you?" Obito didn't care about Reikage's roar, shrugged his shoulders and said, Yes, I said before to bring you news by the way, just when you came to participate in the 5 shadow talks, Union's 8-tailed Manzuri it has been successfully captured by our Shao organization. Quote. What did you say? Quote ellipsis. Chapter 287, Four Shadows Decision. Kurabi was actually arrested by the people of Shao's organization, and the elder Reikage must be furious. Obito said that after Kurabi was arrested, Nishi could predict what would happen to Reikage next. Sure enough, when he learned that the 8-tailed Manzuli of Union Village had been captured by the people of Akatsuki's organization, Reikage was first shocked, and then he was furious. Damn, the furious Reikage burst into a violent thunderbolt once again, and couldn't help but want to shoot again. For Reikage, Kurabi is not just a village man, he is also Reikage's younger brother. He established a bond with Reikage when Kurabi was young, and his feelings are naturally deep. Now that he knows that how could Peiying's temper calm down when his younger brother was taken away. But just when Reikage was about to attack Obito again, he was intercepted by Kakashi and persuaded, Lord Reikage, please don't be impulsive. This Akatsuki seems to have some kind of weird time and space ability. Before he understands the opponent's ability, all the attacks are just futile to him, and can't cause him any damage at all. Calm down first and then come up with a countermeasure to rescue the Jiren-Zuli from your village. Kakashi, get out of the way, these bastards took my brother, how can this calm me down? Toying also persuaded, Reikage, Kakashi is right, you should calm down first. Even if you can really kill him, your brother won't come back now, you understand what that guy said. As a dignified Reikage, you can't lose your sense of proportion just because of one person, now is not the time to act with anger. He was blocked and persuaded by Kakashi and Tsuchikage, especially Tsuchikage's words made him understand his responsibilities. No matter how angry Reikage was, he had to hold back his anger. After all, he was Reikage of Union Village. Sometimes he really can't act on his will, especially in this case, he must be responsible to the villagers of Union Village and even the country of Lei. On the other side, Chen, who had been neglected, watched the scene that was no different from the original, feeling dull, shook his head and didn't want to waste time here any longer, and whispered to Shuiyu and Zongwu, there's nothing to see. Yes, let's go. Then he raised his 2 hands and put them on the shoulders of Changwu and Shuiyu, followed by launching the Flying Thunder God technique, and disappeared in place in an instant, with no chance for the 4 shadows to stop them. It's not that Sighing doesn't want to intercept it, but that there is no way to intercept it. After all, the technique of Flying Thunder God is too fast. In a flash, even Reikage, who is known for his speed, can't stop it, so he can only watch Uchiha helplessly. Chen and the others just disappeared in front of them. From the very beginning, Obito came to the people of the 4 ninja village, but he always paid attention to Uchiha Chen. When Uchiha Chen was about to leave, he had already discovered Chen's actions, and Obito had already been there at this time. Retreat. One of his reasons for coming here is to declare the Moon Eyes plan to Senin village or to demonstrate and declare war, and the second is to come for Chen Uchiha. Now that his first purpose has been achieved, he naturally does not want to stay again. The time of delay is to discuss cooperation with Uchiha Chen as soon as possible. Obito slowly stood up from the ground, swept the people in Seinin village once again, and said in a deep voice, "Since you don't plan to cooperate, then I hereby formally declare war on your 5 major countries, for the 4th time. The Ninja World War is coming soon. We'll see you next time on the battlefield." After all, regardless of the reactions of the people present, the naked right eye under his mask spun for a while, and the familiar space whirlpool reappeared, and Obito himself and the black-bottomed red cloud robe also followed the space whirlpool. Dissipated and disappeared in the sight of everyone, leaving all the people present to stare at each other. Then, what should we do next? After everyone present was a little bit awake from the shock of Uchiha Obito's words, Tsukage murmured with his brows furrowed. From what he said, except for Naruto, the main force of the 9-tailed people in Konoha, all the other 8-tailed beasts fell into their hands, so an army of ninjas has formed. Gaara's face was always paralyzed, but at this moment it seemed to be a little gloomy because of the strength displayed by the other party. Not to mention that Uchiha Sasuke will not be defeated by the cooperation of the 4 shadows. If it is not for Sasuke, it seems that something has happened to his own problems. With the cooperation of the 4 shadows, I am afraid that it will be difficult to win in a short time, and that Uchiha Chenzi was even more of a trick, and pressed Raikage, who was slightly stronger among the 4 shadows, directly to the ground. His speed was so fast and his strike was so precise that it was astounding, and now, the perfect man of Union Village, Zuli Yahweh, was actually there all in the opponent's hands, and they have 8-tailed beasts at the same time. This is enough power for any big country to be afraid of it. The establishment of a coalition is naturally the best policy against Uchiha Chen and Akatsuki, but Raikage-sama doesn't seem to agree. I saw that Taing's eyes narrowed slightly, and he opened his mouth slowly, as if agreeing Kakashi's alliance strategy is also testing Raikage's ideas. These bastards, even my younger brother was caught by them. This matter must not be left alone. If there is something wrong with my younger brother, the old man will ask these bastards to return it tenfold, establish a ninja alliance, and join them. Let's break it in one breath. Raikage, who was originally arrogant, seemed to be angered by Obito's words, even though Obito was not present at the scene, but he didn't think that Raikage heard. Yakito-ji, the other party has 8, only tailed beast, and other words, all of them jumped like thunder. But now in the country of water, Korean village should deal with it as before. Mizukage seems to have been poisoned by Uchiha Chen on the way here. Since it is the Ninja World Coalition, how can it be without Korean village? At this moment, a question from Gaara seemed to attract everyone's ears again. For the time being, the establishment of the Ninja World Alliance is indeed the best choice for the 5 major countries today, but if in this battle against Uchiha Chen and Akatsuki, if the country of water, a big country, stays out of the way, let alone Akatsuki. On the other hand, even the other 4 major countries will never tolerate it. It can be said that any country of the 5 major countries is not rejecting the wars caused by the uneven strength of the countries, but their own ninja villages in this situation. At the bottom of the average, the rulers have never been afraid of war, all they fear is that they will not be able to win. We need to pass on the news that Suiying has been killed to the people in Wuyin village, so that Wuyin village can reselect a Suiying to control the overall situation as soon as possible. Taing's stability seems to have played a role in stabilizing everyone at this time. As a person who has gone through the ups and downs of the ninja world, it seems that replacing a shadow is not a big deal in his opinion, because these 3 generations of soil shadows seem to have experienced the alternation of the entire 5 national shadow-level ninjas. Just one more. Let me take a trip to the land of water with my old bones, and the other 3 shadows, go back to the villages to make arrangements and make all preparations for war. Got it. Quote ellipsis. Chapter 288, absolutely. While the 4 shadows were discussing the appropriateness of the alliance, in a quiet and uninhabited forest somewhere outside the Iron Kingdom, 3 figures suddenly appeared out of nowhere in a place that was originally empty, and some leisurely children were shocked. Bird. I saw one of the 3, looked at the surrounding environment, and said with some excitement, "This is outside the city of Iron Country. He tilde boss, your flying thunder god technique is really convenient, you will arrive in the blink of an eye. Here, and left under the eyes of sighing, those people from Shinobi Village must have been dumbfounded. The three people who just appeared were Chen and the other three who had just escaped from the meeting place of the five shadows. The one who just spoke was the chatter from the Eagle Squad, Ghost Light Shuiyu. Long before he arrived in the Iron Country, Chen had already placed the coordinates of the Flying Thunder God outside the city, and he only needed to activate the Flying Thunder God to be able to come out instantly, which saved a lot of trouble. Compared with Shuiyu's carefree, Changwu is obviously more prudent, or rather cautious, and is not as casual as Shuiyu. First, he observed the surrounding environment, and after confirming that there is no abnormality, he said solemnly, "We will leaving like this, the people of Nin village must be angry. Although we have already left the country of iron, we are not far from the country of iron. It is easy to be discovered by the people of the country of iron. Let's leave here first. Save yourself the trouble." Shuiyu chuckled disdainfully and said disapprovingly, "Hey, Changwu, you are too cautious. Let's not say whether they will send people to chase us. Even if they do come, we don't need to be afraid of them. And with the boss here, even if the four shadows come in person, they are not the boss's opponents. What are you worried about?" Chen looked at the proud Shuiyu, frowned and scolded Wuiyue. "Changwu is right, being cautious is not a bad thing. And also, if you can minimize troublesome things, try to minimize them. There is no need to cause trouble. I don't want to be bothered by little things like this all day." Yes, I know. Seeing Chengdu talking about himself, Shuiyu naturally did not dare to fight haha, but it was not difficult to see from his expression and tone that he seemed to just deal with it casually, not at all. Did not take it to heart. Humph. Chen also knew that Shuiyu was just dealing with him casually, and didn't take it seriously at all, but Chen didn't bother to talk about him, just snorted and didn't say anything. After choosing a direction, he set off and left, and Changwu just smiled lightly and followed. On Chen's footsteps, only Shuiyu's face was depressed, but she didn't dare to complain anymore, and quickly followed Chen and left. The three of them were walking on the road, and suddenly, Chen stopped, because in Chen's perception, he noticed that there seemed to be someone hiding in the dark and staring at the three of them, and the other party's way of hiding their breath was very secret, even if Changwu and Shuiyu were both. Even if they have a stronger cultivation base than Shangren, they can't detect it, and their strength is definitely not low. After seeing Chen stop, Shuiyu and Zongwu still didn't understand what was going on, and were looking at Chen puzzled. Although they didn't understand, but seeing Chen's expression, Shuiyu and Changwu also sensed something must have happened, carefully observed the surroundings, but couldn't see anything unusual. Changwu quickly asked in a deep voice, "Chen, there is what's the matter?" "Well, someone is spying on us." Chen nodded and said. As soon as he heard Chen's words, even Shuiyu's face changed, and she said in surprise, "Could it be that the people from Four Ninja Village really followed? How could it be so fast? Besides, Changwu and I didn't notice it at all. Why is this? Maybe. There is only one person. It should not be from the Four Ninja Village, and I may know who it is." Although the other party has not yet appeared, Chen also guessed the identity of the other party. There is only one person on the other side. This is definitely not a person from the 5 major countries. Let's not say whether they sent someone to chase after Chen left. Even if they did send someone, it would definitely not be possible to catch up so quickly. More importantly, how did they know that Chen's Flying Thunder God technique would be placed in this place? There are only 2 people with such hidden ability in Chen's cognition. One is Obito, who pretends to be a ghost by relying on the virtual space, and can appear anywhere with his space ability, and the other is the elusive intelligence personnel in Akatsuki's organization. Absolutely. Before Obito Zaichin left the 5 Shadow Talks, he was still wrangling with the 5 Shadows, and he would definitely not chase after him so quickly, so the person hiding in the dark should be the right-hand man of Obito, black and white. The body is composed of 2 parts, black and white. It looks like the same person, but it has 2 kinds of thinking. It can even be split into 2 people with different personalities. The upper body is wrapped in leaves like Venus flyweed. Behavior or ability are very mysterious, good at reconnaissance and collecting other people's corpses, and the ability is quite strange. Although Ju's identity is mysterious, but Chen, who has seen the plot of the original book, clearly knows the details of this Ju. Bai Ju is the product of Uchiha's yin and yang escape, and his abilities come from the foreign golem and the cells of the first generation, while the other Black Ju, but it is Keigaya's idea, belonging to Keigaya's third son. This Black Ju, but the most profound character in Naruto's center, can play Uchiha Madara Chinsho with applause, even thousands of years. The former Indra and Asura were all calculated by him, and they belong to the hidden bosses in Hokage. Compared with Uchiha Madara, Chen was more afraid of Heiju. Although he was afraid, but being peeped at like this made Chen feel very uncomfortable, he snorted coldly, and suddenly pulled out the streamer from his waist, and then saw a flash of red light, and a sharp slash came out of the streamer and attacked. Somewhere in the woods, there was the hiding place of the person Tatsu perceived. At the same time, in the depths of the woods, this figure was indeed hidden. I saw that this person was wearing a red cloud robe with a black background, and his figure seemed to be very bloated. What was even more concerning was that this person had two long collars on the collar. A huge leaf that looks like a Venus flytrap. With such a strange appearance, this person is what Chen thought before, the intelligence personnel in Xiao's organization, absolutely. Chapter 289, Meet Again. At this time, deep in the woods, on a small raised mound, there was indeed a person. I saw that this person was wearing a red cloud robe with a black background, and his figure seemed to be very bloated. What was even more concerning was that this person was there are two huge leaves on the man's collar, and the shape looks like a Venus flytrap. What is even more strange is that half of the man's body is actually stuck in the mound, and only the upper part of the body is exposed. Outside the mound. With such a strange appearance, this person is what Chen thought before, the intelligence personnel in Xiao's organization, absolutely. At this time, when he was discovered by Uchiha Chen, Ju seemed to have already noticed it, and only heard a hoarse voice saying, "Yali, Yali, it seems that Uchiha Chen seems to have discovered us." This hoarse voice is the black part of Ju, that is, Ju's voice. "Really, you're really alert enough to be able to find us, I wonder if we will be killed by him." Ju's other half, Bai Ju, also said aloud after hearing Ju's words. But his tone was full of teasing, and he didn't seem to be as scared as he said. Just when Ju and Bai Ju were talking, they suddenly felt a sense of crisis, and then saw Uchiha Chen, who had already pulled out the weapon from his waist and slashed suddenly, a sharp slash from Uchi. The long knife in Bo Chen's hand spurted out, and with the power of tyrannical tyrants, it was sweeping towards them. Dangerous. Just when Jukai shouted, the sharp slash from Chen had already hit the place where Ju was. I saw that the place hit by the slash suddenly exploded, and a thunderous roar shook the mountains and forests, causing countless birds and beasts to flee in a panic. At this time, Shuiyu had already removed the beheading sword on his back, and Changwu had entered a state of half-curse seal. Rushing towards the direction of Chen's attack, they knew that the other party must be hiding there. It was only after Changwu and Shuiyu got close that they discovered that the small raised mound had long since been razed to the ground, turning it into a shallow pit, and the absolute hidden behind the mound had disappeared at this moment. Looking at the empty shallow pit, Shuiyu looked around vigilantly, and said in a deep voice, "It's gone. Could it have been killed by the boss?" Changwu said solemnly, "No, if Chen kills or hurts it, there will definitely be something left. Since even we didn't find it, the other party is definitely not easy, so be careful." They looked around vigilantly. After a while, the two of them still didn't notice anything unusual. They returned to Chen's side and said, "Boss, I didn't find anything, maybe they have escaped." Although they found nothing, out of their trust in Chen, they did not doubt whether Guo Chen's perception was wrong, and even more believed that the other party had been killed by Chen or escaped. Chen seemed to have expected this result, and didn't care. He snorted coldly and said, "Don't worry about it for now, let's go." As expected of Uchiha Chen, it's really dangerous, he almost died. Just when Chen and the others were about to continue on their way, a playful voice suddenly came, and the voice was very close to them, making Shuiyu and Zhongwu startled, and they were approached without realizing it. If the other party wants to hurt them. Thinking of this, Shuiyu and Changwu didn't dare to relax in the slightest. They quickly assumed a defensive posture, and looked in the direction of the voice vigilantly. When Changwu and Shuiyu looked at the sound, they found that not far behind them, a strange-looking person was standing. The body was divided into two sides from the middle, black and white, only the black half, without any expression, and the white half looked at them playfully with a playful smile at the moment. Although it looks like a person, the expression on his face is completely different, as if the half bodies of two people are put together, which is very strange. Seeing such a strange Jew, Shuiyu couldn't help feeling strange and exclaimed, "What the hell is this? That kind of dress." He is a member of Akatsuki's organization. Compared to Ju's appearance, Chango noticed the uniform that Ju was wearing. He already knew the identity of the other party, reminded Shuiyu Dao, and at the same time, he also showed that he could attack at any time. Stance. After all, there have been a lot of conflicts between the Eagle Squad and the Xiao organization, which is already a hostile relationship, and the other party was watching them secretly just now. There must be some purpose, and I naturally dare not relax. Being stared at by Changwu and Shuiyu's hostile eyes, Ju did not feel nervous at all, only Bai Huiwei said with a smile, "Relax, don't look at me with this kind of eyes. I'm not your enemy, I came to you today to discuss something with you, not to start a war." Shuiyu snorted coldly and said, "Hey. Can you believe what you say? We have killed many members of your Xiao organization. Don't you want to avenge them?" Bai Ju replied, "Well, I can't decide that kind of thing. Even if I want to take revenge, I don't have the ability. I'm just a small intelligence officer, not an expert in combat, and I just do some tip-offs. It's just errands, so don't worry about me being against you." Changwu asked in a deep voice, "Suoga, if that's the case, what's your purpose in coming to us?" Then I have to ask my partner, but that guy is so cruel, he even let me run here to do such a dangerous thing, that one blow just now would have almost killed me. If I hadn't escaped if it's fast, I won't have a chance to talk here now." Baiju said gloomily, showing lingering fears, as if he was very unhappy with his so-called partner, but it was obvious from his appearance that he was just complaining, that's it. Heiju, who had not spoken all the time, opened his mouth and said, "Hey, if you talk about him like this, aren't you afraid that he will take revenge?" "What are you afraid of? Ah Fei is not here anyway, he can't hear it." Baiju replied with a smirk. And at this moment, there was a sudden wave of space fluctuations behind him, and then a space vortex appeared out of thin air, and a figure gradually revealed his figure in the vortex of the void. It was Obito, who declared war in front of the four shadows before. "Absolutely, don't you know it's bad behavior to speak ill of people behind their backs?" Quote ellipsis. Chapter 290, Give You the Tail Beast. With that indifferent tone of ridicule, Obito had completely revealed his figure from the Shinwei space, and was looking at Baiju playfully. After seeing Obito come out, Baiju smiled awkwardly and said, "Ah. Afei, you came so fast, tilde. Humph." Obito just snorted coldly, and didn't care about Shirai's loss of him, and then ignored him, walked directly to Chen, and said in a deep voice, "We meet again, Uchiha Chen." Facing Obito's greeting, Chen showed a little impatience on his face, and said coldly, "Hey. What's the matter? Tell me quickly, I don't have the heart to waste time with you." Chen had long expected that Obito would definitely find him again, but Ju's appearance just now made him more certain of his thoughts. Now that Obito has indeed come to find him, Chen couldn't help sneering in his heart, "This guy is really iron." The heart wants to use himself, although Chen also has the idea of using the other party. Obito didn't care about Chen's impatience, chuckled a few times and said, You don't seem to be surprised at all that I'm still alive." Chen said casually, "There's nothing strange about it, since you claim to be Madara Uchiha, you definitely won't be killed by me so easily. It turns out that, Obito said thoughtfully, and then he didn't bother about this topic anymore. After all, he didn't come to Uchiha Chen for small talk, and instead said, I think, you should guess the purpose of me looking for you again. Well, how did you think about what I mentioned to you last time? I already answered this question last time. If you came here just to say this, then I don't have the heart to accompany you. After Chen snorted coldly, he turned around and ignored Obito, as if he was about to leave. Obito did not stop Chen from leaving, but looked at Chen's back and said indifferently, I have officially declared war on the 5 major countries just now, and soon, the 5 major ninja villages will be transformed into a ninja coalition, and the 4th ninja war is coming soon. Quote. Chen didn't stop, didn't even turn his head, and replied with a sneer, It's you who declared war on the 5 major countries, even if they really form a ninja coalition. What they have to deal with is only your Shao organization, that is your business, has nothing to do with us, and since you are so confident in declaring war against the 5 great powers, you must be prepared, so you shouldn't be afraid of the Ninja Alliance. Quote. Uchiha Chen, you are a smart person, don't you think it's ridiculous to say such a thing? If the 5 countries form the Ninja Army Alliance, then you and I will be the targets of the crusade, step on the cloud and blow up the wood. Yi, Fusho Shuiying, it's really a big hand. Compared with what you have done, what our Shao organization has done is simply insignificant. Perhaps in the eyes of the 5 major countries, you are more threatening than me, or say, I think that after the 5 powers declare war, they will always target me, and then you will be able to stay out of it. Do you think it is possible? Chen's indifference made Obito feel a little funny at this time, but he would never think that the guy in front of him was simply ignorant and fearless, because, judging from his usual deeds, he was not a powerless idiot. You can't scare people with the coalition forces of the 5 major countries. Whether you can stay out of it, what difference does it make to me, Uchiha Chen? It's just that after dinner every day, there will be a few more clowns to play with me. No one can stop what I want to do. Regarding Obito's questioning, Chen stopped and turned around with a look of indifference. He's really a conceited guy, but what you know is still too little. Although you and I are both members of the Uchiha clan, the secrets hidden by the Uchiha clan are not what you know. In that case, the origin of Uchiha will be far beyond your imagination. Okay, if you want to tell me some useless old stories, I really have no interest in listening to it. If there is nothing else important, it's best not to bother me, otherwise, don't blame my subordinates for being ruthless. Obito said that he pretended to be right, but he really didn't have the patience to listen. As a transmigrator, he was naturally very clear about the bad things of the Uchiha clan, so he waved his sleeve and hit him directly. Broken Obito's words, and while he was speaking, he had already started to walk, and was about to leave. Seeing that Chen Yi didn't agree, he got up and wanted to leave, but Obito didn't seem to be in a hurry and continued to say to himself, the foundation of the 5 great kingdoms is not as simple as it seems. If it's just a hidden village, it really doesn't matter. Threat, once they form a ninja army alliance, other small countries will follow the lead of the 5 countries and respond one after another. At that time, the power of the entire ninja world will be gathered together, even if you are really not afraid, but then they will continue to flow. The harassment of you will also be annoying. Quote. Hey, having said so much, you deliberately want to discuss cooperation with me, but you just want to use our Eagle Squad to achieve your goals for you, right? I still say that, since you want to use us, then take otherwise, there is no need for us to talk about it anymore. Chen refuted Obito with a sneer, and finally said word by word. Equal benefits. Naoga. After hearing Chen's words, Obito pondered for a while, then looked up at Chen Uchiha, and said in a deep voice, for you tailed beasts. Oh. Hearing Obito's words, Chen's footsteps stopped, then turned to look at Obito with interest, and said playfully, a tailed beast. That's right. Seeing that Chen seemed to be interested, Obito continued, you also have 2 Renzuli in your hands, and you must have fought Renzuli before, and you are in Union Village. And in the Battle of Konoha Village, you seem to have used tailed beasts to fight. You should also know about the power of tailed beasts. That kind of monster full of chakra was originally collected and controlled by the first generation of Hokage. Things. When the Ninja World War broke out, Hashimama allocated them to the 5 major countries as evidence of the implementation of the treaty or agreement, and the balance of the power of the countries obtained by this can be said to be the ultimate chakra weapon. Sounds pretty good, Chen said with a chuckle. How is it? Can we have a good talk? Quote ellipsis. Chapter 291, Reaching Cooperation. Yuyan Village, a place that seems to never stop raining. The whole village seems to be shrouded in a strong industrial atmosphere. It is almost impossible to see the tree line seen like other villages. It's just the metal blast furnaces and the endless pipelines. Beep, beep. At this time, the rain in Union Village is still in an endless posture, and the rhythmic sound of raindrops is also transmitted to a very hidden house in the humid air. It is not so much a house. It would be more appropriate to call this place a space, because in this Yuyan Village, there does not seem to be any building within a house. The interior of the space is not too big, only a long table with 4 corners is placed, and a few chairs are placed at random. It does not seem to be a place where people often spend time. At the end of the table, at this moment, the author is a man in a kimono, but he looks the same as Sasuke, and this person is Uchiha Chen from Yuyan Village who came with Uchiha. Masked man, you said before about the tailed beast. I don't know if it can be more detailed. If you want to cooperate with me, if you don't have the bargaining chip to make my heart move, even if I have come to this Union Village with you, that is 2 things. Chen lowered his head to himself, fiddling with his nails, and asked seemingly casually. Hee, it's really a hot guy. I might as well tell you straightly. So far, I have collected most of the tailed beasts in the hands of my Shao organization, and before that, although I didn't know when you attacked Konoha why can the 9-tailed be summoned when the opponent's pillar strength is intact, but this matter is not mentioned in detail, but I am convinced that you who have used the power of the tailed beast must also understand it better than ordinary people. Powerful. After wearing a mask, Uchiha Obito made a few remarks, and saw Chen sitting on the side of the long table, but did not move. What a shrewd guy. He didn't say a word until he saw the benefits, so. If you want to seize this person's weakness, I'm afraid it will be difficult. It seems that you can only give some visible benefits. In desperation, Obito had to continue. Uchiha Chen, even though you have done so many big events that shocked the ninja world, but to be honest, so far, I haven't been able to figure out your true purpose. When you attacked the members of our Shao organization for the first time at that time, I still thought that you were the one sent by Konoha, but then you attacked Union Village and Konoha. This conclusion is naturally self-defeating. Now you are making a lot of talk about the 5 shadows, intercepting the water shadow. Then, one thing can be confirmed. No matter what your purpose is, at least at this stage, you should be dealing with the 5 major countries, and at this point, we have the same goal. If you are willing to cooperate with us, you can use the power of the tailed beast with you. In this way, as far as our organization is concerned, you will get a right-hand man, and you have obtained the power of the tailed beast. Isn't this business a good deal? Obito said. The corners of his mouth under the mask were also inadvertently raised at this time. He had always believed that in this ninja world who spoke with strength, no one could resist the temptation of strength. If that's the case, I don't think we need to talk too much. Since you know that I have 9-tailed chakra, then it should be clear that the tailed beast chakra you can give me is not uncommon to me. After listening to Obito's big push, it seemed that Chen still seemed to be indifferent, but it wasn't. Chen, who has the ability to use the tailed beast chakra to replicate the tailed beast, can say that the demand for the tailed beast chakra is greater than anyone else, and the Shao organization already has 7 tailed beasts at this time, although before again, Chen has passed. Some of my own methods have also copied a few of them, but now that the tailed beast has basically fallen into the hands of the other party, this cooperation can be said to be the fastest and most appropriate method. At the time of the 5 Shadows meeting, you may not have heard of some things, that's why you said that. Do you think that you have the strongest chakra in the world when you have 9-tailed chakra? Do you know why in this world will there be 9-tailed beasts? Obito asked proudly, as if he was extremely proud of knowing these secrets. Humph. If you plan to tell some historical stories, leave before I take action, otherwise, I don't mind letting you die again. Mubai naturally knows the origin of the tailed beast, but if he's suddenly agreeing to cooperate will inevitably give Obito some clues. Therefore, if Chen wants to safely get the tailed beast chakra in Obito's hands, he must pretend to be unaware of the existence of the 10-tailed, thus creating an image of looking forward to the 10-tailed chuck, making Obito's side more defensive against Chen. Smaller. Chen-jun, don't be impatient, there are 9-tailed beasts in the ninja world, in fact. In this way, Uchiha Chen, as a traverser, was completely informed of all the spoilers, and boredly listened to Obito's introduction to the origin of the tail beast. At the same time, when he explained, he also emphasized the strength of the tail chakra. Looking at Chen, who has been calm as water, seems to be very worried that Chen will not cooperate with him. 10 tails. There is still a chakra carrier stronger than 9 tails in this world. It's unbelievable. If what you say is true, then this cooperation is not impossible. Chen heard Obito exaggerating. He has to work very hard, and Yinghian pretend to be very longing for the 10-tailed chakra. In fact, it can be said to be pretending, or it can be said to be really yearning, but the 10-tailed chakra that Obito refers to at this time is completely different from the 10-tailed chakra that Chen expected. So, Chen-jun is willing to cooperate with my Xiao organization. Obito sees Chen verbally, and is also a little happy. After all, he has spent a lot of time and energy in order to win over Chen. But before that, you still need to promise me a condition. As Chen spoke, a small smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Chapter 292, Outsider Golem. Hearing Chen's condition again, Obito frowned slightly, but because she was wearing a mask, no one could see her expression. I saw Obito's only exposed Sharingan, looked at Chen indifferently, and said coldly, "Tell me." "Oh, you don't have to do this. What I said is not difficult for you. Besides, for you Uchiha Madara, this matter is just a familiar road." Chen stretched out an index finger and knocked on it. On the long table, he said to Obito, "The eternal kaleidoscope writing wheel I believe you should be familiar with it, right?" Eternal kaleidoscope Sharingan. Suoga, do you want me to transplant Itachi's eyes for Sasuke? After pondering for a while, Obito already knew what Chen's conditions were. As for why it wasn't Uchiha Chen who wanted to keep Itachi's eyes, Obito never thought about it. In the previous battles of Kongshin, Obito has also visited several times in person. Combined with the information collected by Xiao's organization, it can be confirmed that Uchiha Chen can master Mudden. As for how he got it, it has already been thought that Uchiha had close contact with Orochimaru before, and he should have obtained the first-generation cells from Orochimaru. Moreover, in the Battle of Konoha, Uchiha Chen once used the high-intensity Susanoo, the difficulty of the beast. To master this trick, Susanoo must at least reach a complete body. It is not just random. The kaleidoscope writing wheel can be controlled, which means that Uchiha Chen's kaleidoscope writing wheel has surpassed the ordinary kaleidoscope. As for whether Uchiha Chen is the eternal kaleidoscope writing wheel it is unknown with Soil. But there is one thing Obito is very sure about, that is Uchiha Chen's writing wheel is definitely not easy, especially after he experienced the ability of the slaughterhouse, that made him feel fearful. He is extremely jealous of him, and more importantly the thing is, Uchiha Chen doesn't seem to care about Itachi, and everything he does seems to just want Sasuke to accept Itachi's eyes. How? For you Madara Uchiha, this matter is just an effort. And this should be exactly what you want, right? Chen Duan sat on the wooden chair, and there was no emotion on his expression when he spoke. Fluctuation, but at the end, there is a sense of drama, as if he is laughing at Obito who wants to plot against Sasuke. Obito didn't deny it, and said with a chuckle, "That's true. But, are you really sure you can trust me as an assistant? Aren't you afraid that I will do something on Sasuke?" Hey tilde tilde, I saw Chen sneer, then stared at the naked eye in the mask, and said indifferently, if you want to move, just move, I won't mind. Tilde, is that really true? Obito looked at Uchiha Chen in front of him and didn't know how to refute for a while. Obito didn't care about this topic, shrugged and stood up, then said to Chen and the others, forget it, this kind of thing is fine, as long as we have reached an agreement, then from now on, Eagle and Akatsuki have a cooperative relationship, so they may also act together in the future. I'll show you guys first, and Nagato should be here too. Alright, I want to see it too. A sneer hung on the corner of Uchiha Chen's mouth. He already knew about the Yatai Renzuli in Union Village. Nagato went out to Union Village to arrest Yatai Renzuli himself. It seems to have succeeded. Obito said that Nagato has arrived, which should be the meaning of Nagato returning from Union Village. Come with me. Seeing that Chen didn't shirk, and Obito didn't want to delay any further, he invited him directly, and left first after speaking. Boss, I see that this masked man looks sullen. This is their chassis again, is there any fraud? At this moment, Shuiyu, who had not spoken for a long time behind Chen, reminded at this moment. Regarding Shuiyu's reminder, Chen just glanced at Shuiyu with contempt, and sneered, when will you be able to grow your brain? If he wants to plot against us, he should do it at the first place in Union Village. This is the place, why bother talking nonsense here for so long? Quote. But, Shuiyu seemed unwilling to be reconciled by Chen Chuan, and wanted to refute, but she couldn't think of any words, so she could stare blankly. Chen snorted coldly. Don't talk nonsense, if you're afraid, just wait outside. After he finished speaking, he didn't care about Shuiyu, he turned around and walked towards Obito, and Changwu just smiled honestly and said to Shuiyu, Chen knows what you mean, when have you seen Chen? If you suffer, don't worry. Quote. In the end, the two also closely followed Shengshin's pace and walked towards the internal base of Akatsuki's organization under the leadership of Obito. Soon, the three of them followed this Obito to a hiding place. But compared to the place they discussed earlier, the space here is obviously much wider, the entrance looks like a cave, and Zichen follows Obito. After entering, I felt that the temperature of the entire space was suddenly much lower than the outside world, and rustling water droplets would fall from time to time at the top of the space. Afterwards, several people walked silently towards the depths of the space. The whole space was eerily quiet. Except for the footsteps of the two of them and the sound of scattered water droplets, they could no longer feel any sound or light. It also gradually became dim as the two reached in, until several people were completely swallowed by the darkness. While walking, Chen suddenly stopped, but he didn't show any panic at all. Since he was able to follow Obito to this place alone, he was naturally not afraid of his actions. There was no way to go ahead, so Chen Kai was a little confused. Arrived. When Obito raised his hand, his palm was drawn out from the long sleeve of the red cloud on a black background, and then he pressed it on the rock in front of him. After a while, he heard a rough sound of stone rubbing. The rock wall, which was already dead, split into a small gap in the middle. As the gap gradually became wider and firmer, soft shimmers of light also penetrated from the inside of the rock wall. It's here, please. After the secret door was fully opened, Obito greeted Chen, and he went in first. After Chen entered the secret door, always Chen was already mentally prepared, but he was still shocked by what he saw inside. This is an outsider golem. Chapter 293. Seal the Eight Tails. After Obito opened the exit, the spacious internal structure was revealed in front of Chen and others, and the place where Obito brought Chen and others to was the internal base of Akatsuki. Seeing the familiar side, Obito turned his head to Chen and the other three and said indifferently, "This is it." Then he walked into the base first. Shuiyu looked at Chen and seemed to want to seek Chen's opinion, and said, "Boss, we." Chen didn't care about Shuiyu's hesitation, and said with interest, "Let's go." After speaking, he entered the base with Obito, and Shuiyu saw that Chen obviously didn't care about her reminder. Shueyu just sighed, but in the end she followed helplessly. It was only after Chen and the others entered the base that they found that it seemed to be hidden underground, or in the mountains, because the entire spacious space was almost filled with stone caves. It was not as dark as he had imagined, but after entering the interior, Chen realized that someone had already been waiting here. Next to Nagato is Xiaonan, who is known as the god of rain in the land of rain, and the other is Ju, who had just met not long ago. They were all dressed in Akatsuki's black-bottomed red cloud uniforms. After seeing Obito and others coming in, they all turned their eyes to this side. Nagato and Ju and the others would be here. Chen had already expected it, so he was not surprised. What really caught his attention was the behemoth behind Nagato and others, even if it was Chen who was always calm. See this thing again. After that, there was a look of surprise in his eyes unconsciously, and he secretly said in his heart, this turned out to be an outsider golem. But Chen is determined in the end. After the initial surprise, he has recovered. Then he looked at the outsider golem and Kurabi at the foot of Nagato with interest. He already thought that Obito brought them here. What to do? Is this the eight-tailed Manzuli? Chen glanced at Kurabi at the foot of Nagato and asked knowingly. Humph. Regarding Uchihashin's question, Nagato just snorted and didn't talk to him. Although Obito had already discussed with him about joining forces with Uchihashin, but he had suffered from Uchihashin's hands, but he still remained in his heart. I felt very unhappy, but in order to realize his dream, he chose to compromise temporarily, but don't expect him to give Chen Hao a good face. That's right, this guy is the eight-tailed Manzuli of Union Village. In the end, he brought the soil out to smooth the game and answered Chen's question, which was considered to ease the embarrassment of the two. Since the eight tails have been captured by you, is the next step to extract the eight tails from this guy's body. Chen naturally understood the information about the extraction of the tailed beasts clearly in the original book, and he must bring the soil to bring them. Coming here must be more than just letting them get acquainted. At this time, Obito did not immediately answer Chen's words, but raised his finger to the upper part of the outsider golem. Chen looked up in the direction Obito pointed, and saw that the whole of the outsider golem looked like a Buddhist bodhisattva sitting cross-legged, but its figure was closer to a demon, and there are 9 eyes in the position that looks similar to the head, but most of the eyes are different from the eyes of other normal animals. The 5 eyes have become pupils like normal eyes, but they seem to have a little charm. As expected, it seems that the Shao organization has collected 5-tailed beasts. After seeing the 9 eyes of the outsider golem, Chen also knew exactly what it symbolized. Chen, this heretical golem has 9 eyes, and they will correspond to 9-tailed beasts. Now I have collected 5 of them. Counting the 8-tailed man's power, there are already 6. However, here is where the tailed beasts are stripped. The process also requires the assistance of your eagles. Obito said slowly, looking at the outsider golem. You may not understand when you say this suddenly, you can just help this as a container for the tailed beast, and now what you have to do with us is to put the tailed beast back into the container, and in this process with the help of the 3 of you, we will be much faster. Obito continued. Since I've come here, I will naturally try my best to help, but, in this process, what do I need to do? It seems that Chen is not very interested in what Obito said, and just went straight to the matter of stripping it into a beast. Afterwards, under the tedious ramblings of Obito, he recorded the method of how to strip the tailed beast in his mind, and then, without waiting for Obito to talk nonsense, he was the first to jump on the 10 outlander golems. On the top of one of the fingers, Shueyu and Shigego who followed Chen's actions also chose the finger next to Chen and stayed. So don't delay the few of us, and start stripping the tailed beast now. Obito sees Chen no longer delaying, then he doesn't need to do any one-man shows, and then Obito, Nagato, Xiaonan, Ju 4 also jumped onto the fingers of the outsider golem in turn. Not long after, I saw that Kurabi, who was lying on the ground, with the help of everyone, his entire body began to float, and he was surrounded by a red chakra. At this time, from Kurabi's eyes and chakras are constantly coming out of the mouth, and the whole person seems to be in a coma, and it seems that his expression is a bit painful. Time seems to have become still in this way. It seems that in this secret room, except for the popularity of chakra, there is no change in the existence of any change. Whether it is sound or light, it seems to have stopped. However, time, but it is also passing quietly in this boring. Then, such a scene did not continue because of the silence of the people present. I saw the help of the eight-tailed people who should have been stripped away for a long time. At this time, for some reason, chakra is so poor, there is no one-tailed beast at all. Appearance. But when everyone was puzzled by this abnormal situation, a scene that almost caused Obito to vomit blood appeared. Kurabi, who had been suspended in the air just now, turned into a octopus feet. Chapter 294, I want this tentacle. Nani. Regarding the sudden change of Rabbi Riki of the eight-tailed human pillar, all the people present also showed their different attitudes. As Nagato, the captor of eight tails, he was undoubtedly the most surprised. This is an octopus foot. Chen looked at the object that Kurabi suddenly transformed into, and after pondering for a while, he knew what had happened, and sneered inwardly. Sure enough, this guy Kurabi still escaped just like in the original book. Well, what a sly guy, even the pen guy was deceived. Have you been tricked? You really underestimate the power of the eight-tailed man. Obito frowned and looked at the octopus feet on the ground indifferently. He already understood that Pain was tricked by the other party, and he naturally felt depressed. Compared to Obito and the others who were in a bad mood, Baiju seemed to be heartless and laughed out of nowhere. Obito looked indifferently at Ju, who was smiling strangely, and scolded coldly, "Shut up, stop laughing." Yes, I know. In the face of Obito's reprimand, Baiju didn't seem to care and responded casually, but he stopped smiling. Shuiyu didn't have a good impression of Shao organization, so naturally she would not let go of this rare opportunity to ridicule, and said jokingly, "Haha is this the eight-tailed person Zuli captured by your Shao organization? It was tricked by such a simple method. It's ridiculous. Damn, this guy dares to tease me." The most embarrassing thing in the scene was Nagato. Not only did he take action himself, he had already announced the success of the capture of the eight tails, and he even discussed cooperation with Chen, but now such a bloody scene appeared in the process of stripping. Not only being played by others, it made him lose so much face in front of outsiders. How could he not be angry? Well, this is the end of the matter, and it's not the time to be held accountable. Moreover, this octopus foot should have fallen from the real body of the eight tails. It is a genuine tailed beast chakra, which is difficult for anyone to notice. No wonder Nagato does not have it. Recognizing it, Kurabi is really worthy of being a perfect man. This kind of thing can be done. Obito knew that Nagato was a very cautious person, and that Yao was able to escape from him, which means that it was not Nagato at all. Negligence, it can only be that Kurabi does have its own advantages. Chen also knew that what Obito said was the truth. Just now, Kurabi, even Chen and Obito, who had kaleidoscope writing wheel eyes, didn't see it carefully. The only possibility is that the octopus feet were indeed split from Yahweh Ma. The entity, which contains a large amount of chakra of the eight tails, is precisely because of this that it deceives the eye of reincarnation and the kaleidoscope writing wheel, because it is the chakra of the eight tails, and it is not fake. Although he knew the reason for the incident, Chen did not intend to miss this opportunity to belittle the Shao organization, and said contemptuously, "Could it be that your Shao organization's ability to handle affairs has already been so poor? It's ridiculous that you can't tell the difference between fakes." Now the atmosphere at the scene has become extremely embarrassing. On the one hand, Obito has indeed made some miscalculations. On the other hand, Chen's sarcasm is beyond words. The point is, Obito really has nothing to refute at this time. After all, the matter of stripping the tailed beast, which was entirely suggested by him. I saw Obito looking at Chen indifferently, and said indifferently, "Uchiha Chen, you don't need to be cynical. You and I know the reason for Nagato's failure, but I don't deny that this time is indeed our loss, Yutai Renju. We will handle the matter of power, so you should go back and make arrangements to deal with the upcoming war." Quote. Hearing Obito's tough tone, Chen frowned, looked at Obito with disdain, and said coldly, "Hey. You really can call people. If they are called, they will come and go, and they really take us as are you aware of your organization's subordinates? We are just a cooperative relationship. And it was your initiative to cooperate, remember this." Nagato was already very angry because he was tricked by the eight-tailed person Zuri. In addition, he had suffered losses in the hands of Chen before, and he had a grudge against Chen for a long time. Now hearing Uchiha Chen's attitude, he is even more feeling unhappy. He looked at Chen with a blank expression, and said coldly, "Humph. Arrogant guy, I just asked you to cooperate to save some trouble, don't take yourself too seriously, even without you, we know the organization. Still able to complete the plan." Quote. Hearing Nagato's contemptuous words, Chen sneered inwardly, gave Nagato a playful look, and said indifferently, "Really? Since that's the case, then there is no need for us to continue to join forces, let's go." After he finished speaking, he jumped from the original position, which was also the finger of the outsider golem, to the ground. Chen's footsteps. Seeing Chen and the others leaving without saying a word, Obito frowned again. Although he was a little unhappy in his heart, he chose to endure it in order to plan, and quickly greeted, "Wait a minute." Chen heard the words, his footsteps stopped, and he sneered secretly in his heart. As expected, Obito couldn't let him go like this. Chen turned his head and looked at Obito with a sneer, and said mockingly, "Humph. I don't know if Madara Uchiha has anything else to explain to us, these insignificant characters, or your organization intends to take this opportunity, want to keep us all here." Following Chen's words, the atmosphere of Chen's scene suddenly became solemn. After Chen said that paragraph, Shueyu and Shigego entered a state of alert at the same time, watching everyone in Xiao's organization vigilantly, and Nagato and Konan also entered the fighting state after the Eagle Squad took on a fighting stance. They stared at the Eagle Squad, and they started Zoshi when they disagreed. Obito endured the unhappiness in his heart and had to come out and say, "Okay, I'm sorry for what Nagato said just now, but Nagato didn't mean it, it's just because the matter of Yutai Renzuli was a little unpleasant, so I said it. In that case, since we are already in an alliance, and our biggest enemy is the five great powers, there is no need to be unhappy about this trivial matter." Quote. Humph. Chen snorted coldly and gave Shueyu and Changwu a wink to signal them to relax. Changwu was fine, but Shueyu felt a little unwilling, and Nagato also snorted, and Xiaonan ended the battle at the same time. Gesture. Seeing that Chen is so straightforward, Obito is not stupid, he naturally knows that Chen was just pretending, he must have some plans, and he asked directly, "Tell me, what do you want?" "Since you're so direct, then I won't say much. I don't care if your organization has not caught the eight-tailed person Zuli, but I, Uchiha Chen, have never had the habit of returning empty-handed. As a condition of cooperation, I want this tentacle of the eight tails, and it will be regarded as a deposit." Quote ellipsis. Chapter 295, Eight-Tailed Chakra. Hearing Chen's request, Obito agreed after pondering for a while, although the octopus hand was indeed separated from the eight-tailed body, and it contained a large amount of chakra in the eight-tailed body, and there were quite a few, but this chakra was very important for an outsider golem. It's not enough to be inserted between the teeth, and it can't play any role at all. More importantly, this octopus foot will not last long, it will turn into chakra and dissipate, and it can't be sealed anyway, since Uchiha Chen asked, instead of wasting it like this, it is better to give it to Uchiha Chen, and be a smooth sailor. Obito looked at the octopus feet on the ground and said indifferently, "Whatever you want." Very good. The corners of Chen's mouth were slightly raised, as if he was satisfied with the result, and then he directly released the space and put away the octopus foot that was still lying on the ground at the moment, although the octopus foot seemed to Obito and the others to have nothing at all. Roll, but it is different for Chen. After seeing Chen simply put away the octopus feet, Obito said to Chen, "I have already satisfied you with your request, let's forget what happened before, what we will face next is the ninja alliance of the 5 countries. There's no need to ruin our partnership for a trivial matter." Chen, who just got the eight-tailed chakra, was in a good mood, and he didn't show his face anymore. He looked at the people in Xiao's organization indifferently, and said with a sneer, "Hey I, Uchiha Chen, is not the kind of person who is careful." After saying that, Chen did not stop, and walked towards the exit when he came, and Shuiyu and Changwu also left here with Chen. After Dekan, Changwu, and Shuiyu left in the lead of Chen, Obito silently looked at the direction Chen and the others were leaving, thoughtfully. Baiju, on the other hand, complained without any scruples, "Yeah, I've been busy for a while. I didn't expect the eight-tailed Manzuli to be so cunning, and he played us all over. Now there are only 5-tailed beasts we have collected. If we want to complete the plan, these chakras are not enough. Now that the 5 major countries have reached an agreement, the situation is a bit unfavorable for us." Heiju, but at this moment reminded with that hoarse voice. Obito heard the words and said, "I didn't expect the 5 major countries to take action so quickly. I originally thought that after we collected all the tailed beasts, the 5 major countries would be aware of our threat. Uchiha Chen's appeared, completely disrupted my plans and forced me to start a war." Obito is really depressed at this time. It is actually helpless to declare war on the 5 major countries. Although he had this plan from the beginning, he just didn't want to go to war with the 5 major countries so soon. Originally, they collected a few tailed beasts. It has not attracted the attention of the 5 major countries, even if the people of each ninja village are arrested, because of the village's face. The robbed ninja village has not made a statement, but secretly planned how to snatch the tailed beast back, so that, undoubtedly gave Xiao a lot of time to organize. It's just that the appearance of Uchiha Chen made the calculations of the Xiao organization fail, because not only did Uchiha Chen, like the Xiao organization, attack the people of the villages, and even caused Yunyan and Konoha. The tragedy caused panic in the ninja world, and also prompted Lei Ying to hold a 5-shadow meeting. The matter of Xiao's organization to arrest Renzuli was also revealed by a big ninja village, and it had been targeted. As a last resort, Obito thought about it in advance. The 5 powers declared war. As of now, we have to speed up our pace. How is the preparation of Baiju's clone? It's almost there, you can go into battle at any time. Obito glanced at Baiju, nodded and said, "Very good, this way, we can fight a war with the 5 great powers. Next, we just need to think of a reason to convince Uchiha Chen to put away Renzuli, and if the 4-tailed person's pillar power is handed over, then the 5 major ninja villages should not be afraid. The 8-tailed person's pillar strength will continue to be captured by Zero himself. As for the 9-tailed person's pillar strength, let's leave it to the end. After all, the 9-tailed person's chakra is too large. If you seal it too early, you will be unable to restrain it." Tiandao Pain is still expressionless, or he can't show any expression at all. After all pain is made of corpses, and the corpse naturally cannot express any emotions, only Pain looks at him indifferently. Obito said coldly, "I'll go to Union Village again." Obito and Nagato didn't know. In fact, the 8-tailed Manzuli had already sneaked out to play, and was not in Union Village at all. Even if Nagato went to Union Village now, it would be impossible to catch Kurabi, but Obito also he stopped Pain's thoughts, and said, "No hurry, your previous actions must have led them to take precautions. Maybe the 8-tailed human pillar has been hidden by Raikage. Let Ju go check it out first, and confirm the 8-tailed human pillar. Where is the force to move again?" Then he said to the Absolute, "You guys first go to the country of Thunder to check and find out the hiding place of the 8-tailed Manzuli." Bai Weiguai replied with a smile, he leave it to me." After speaking, he slowly dived into the ground until he disappeared in place. Outside Yuyan village, Chen Shuiyu and Changwu just came out of the base of the Xiao organization, only to hear Shuiyu complain, "Boss, hurry up and leave this ghost place. The whole village here looks gloomy and feels very bad." At this moment, Uchiha Chen and the 3 of them are wearing long robes and hats pacing a street in Union Village. Apart from the empty industrial buildings, they can't see the crowded scene like Konoha Village, plus the country of rain. It rained all year round, which also made few pedestrians on the street, and Shuiyu, who had always been noisy, finally began to complain to Chen under the oppression of this atmosphere. Looking at Shuiyu with a depressed face, Chen teased with interest, "You ghost lanterns don't like water the most, and they have always been inseparable from water, why? Isn't rain your favorite?" That said, it just depends on what the situation is, and I don't know why. The rain here always makes me feel very uncomfortable. Shuiyu felt the rain on her body and wrinkled, said with a brow. Chen knew that the rain in the country of rain was actually related to Nagato. This was because of Nagato's Rain Tiger Freedom Jutsu. This ninjutsu uses Pain's chakra to create rain clouds and then make them fall. Every drop of rain that falls during the activation of the spell is closely connected with Pain's senses, so that he can sense the intruder. Also, since this art will react to the place where it is activated, the rain will continue until Pain removes the seal. Therefore, every time Pain leaves the village, this spell will be activated to monitor Yuyan village. Others may not notice anything strange, but the people of the Ghost Lantern family have an affinity for water beyond ordinary people, so although Shuiyu can't notice any problems, she still feels a little uncomfortable. Although he knew the reason, Chen didn't reveal it. He just smiled and said to Shuiyu, "Don't complain, since you don't like it here, let's go." After saying that, Chen stretched out his hands and put them on the shoulders of Shuiyu and Shigego, and then suddenly launched the Flying Thunder God technique, and disappeared in place in the blink of an eye. Chapter 296. All parties are surging. With the launch of Chen Fei's Thunder God technique, the three of them instantly came to the place where the two parties had negotiated cooperation before. Chen pushed open the door, but when he walked in, he found that there were still only a few chairs and the long table with four corners. Chen didn't stop, but went straight to the inside of the room and stopped at a wall. Before Shuiyu could ask anything, Chen inadvertently reached out and grabbed the oil lamp on the wall. The base, and then forcefully twist it. Only a click sound was heard, and the oil lamp that was originally fixed on the wall turned around at a 90-degree angle. At this time, with the change of the base of the oil lamp, the entire wall began to vibrate slightly. For a long time, a secret door like an outsider golem opened from this narrow space. Without waiting for the two behind him to speak, Chen walked in first, and while Chen and the other three entered, all three seemed to have discovered the strangeness of this space. Boss, I didn't expect a barrier to be set up here. If the masked man hadn't told us, it would be really hard to find out that there is still a cave here, haha. I didn't expect that there is a good place to live in this spooky ghost place. Shuiyu looked very excited after coming in, not for anything else. Compared with the gray style of the entire Yuyan village, the furnishings and decorations in this room did make people feel much more comfortable. Now I have some things that need to be dealt with in the space. The two of you are resting here for the time being. If something happens during the period, I will notify you. After saying that, Chen disappeared from the sight of the two of them. Inside the mysterious space. Until now, the second and fourth tails have been in my hands. As for the other tailed beasts, I have also copied some of them. With this octopus foot, the 8 tails can also be copied, as long as I find another opportunity to get the Shao organization. Chakra, the tailed beast in my hand, I will be able to combine these 10 tails myself. As soon as he entered the mysterious space, Chen began to calculate the tailed beast he had collected since he arrived in the Naruto world. After thinking for a while, Chen shouted coldly in the space. "Yes, host, is there anything I can do for you?" Following Chen's opening, an emotionless voice suddenly sounded in the space. "Yao's chakra has been obtained, let's start copying it," Chen said talking. "The replication conditions are met, please confirm with the host whether to start replication." Confirm. At the same time that Uchiha Chen copied the tailed beast, in the 5 countries far away from Yuyan village, a grand event in the ninja world was in full swing at this time. Under the threat of the powerful strength of Shao organization and Chen, the 5 major countries finally reached a provisional agreement to form a joint army of ninja world after the mutual running in of several shadows and the approval of the big names of the major countries. Since the establishment of the Ninja World Coalition, all major countries have actively prepared combat resources, and counted the list of ninjas in their respective countries, as well as their ninja ratings and combat characteristics. It is determined that Raikage will be the supreme commander of the coalition, Kakashi will be the general staff, and the 5 generations of Kazekage Gaara will be the leaders of the coalition commander. It was decided that Chojuro, the double-knife flatfish, would be the 6th generation of Mizukage to lead the village of Karayan. And in order to avoid the drawbacks of fighting against a certain country, the 5 countries have mixed the ninjas of each country into 5 fighting units according to the different abilities of ninjas to deal with the upcoming ninja war. During the mixing process of the combined army, according to the different abilities of each ninja, they will be assigned to different brigades. For example, ninjas who are good at hidden weapons and weapons will basically be assigned to the first unit in the middle distance, while those with strong defensive ability, it will be arranged in the second part that focuses on melee combat. In particular, the 5 countries have specially set up special combat units for ninjas who have special ninjutsu and are good at special fighting styles to deal with various emergencies on the battlefield. The Ninja Coalition forces mixed up by the 5 major countries all rushed to Union Village, one of the 5 major ninja villages, under the arrangement of the high-level officials of the major countries. The catalyst for the entire ninja world was general, and for a while, the relatively stable ninja world became active again. At the same time, an uninvited guest was welcomed at the periphery of the Shao organization base in Urin Village, and Obito himself came to the periphery of the base after sensing this unusual chakra aura. "Let's say hello to you first. Ah Fei, oh no. I should call you Madame Madara now." The person who came was the pharmacist's pocket who had been following Orochimaru before. After a period of disappearance, the pharmacist's pocket appeared again. Its appearance has changed a lot from before. Judging from the extra snake body behind its robe, and the folds similar to snake scales all over the face, it seems that the entire body has changed to the shape of a snake. Merge. Thank you for finding this place. Obito was a little surprised after finding out that the person who came was Yao Shido, but he was not surprised. In Obito's eyes, the ants in front of him were only obtained from Orochimaru. Just some information. As a spy and between countries, I used to be a member of Akatsuki. Don't underestimate my intelligence network. Facing Obito's dismissive contempt, Tu also didn't care. He who has been by Orochimaru's side for a long time, also this kind of vanity has long been underestimated. Remember that you are a spy who was originally a scorpion, huh? Shao's traitor, Obito's voice landed, and there was already action under his legs, only to see his toes a little bit, and the whole person walked towards the pharmacist in an instant. Don't bother talking nonsense at all. For Do, who understands the truth about Obito, he will never be afraid of Obito under the false name of Madara Uchiha, like the superstition of the 5 shadows. Besides, since Do can blatantly come here alone, how can he prepare at all? Nothing. I saw the pharmacist turned over and cleverly avoided Obito's close body, and his movements kept moving, and his hands formed seals in an instant. After a while, the ground in front of the bag kept shaking slightly, and then it was like the formation of a wall of earth and earth. The earth wall-like thing rose up in an instant, but when Obito calmly looked at it, the thing that emerged from the ground was not an earth wall at all, but 5 gray and white coffins. Chapter 297, Transaction. This is filthy reincarnation. With the 5 mouths rising from the ground, the coffin lid slowly falling from the coffin, when Obito saw the 5 dark gray and corpses standing in the coffin, he instantly understood what was going on. Sure enough, it's not ordinary. Indeed, this is a forbidden technique that only the 2nd generation Hokage and Orochimaru can know. However, if you add me, there are 3 people. And I'm even more out of blue. What I show here is only a small part, so that I can make the most of it. You believe in my abilities. The pharmacist supported the coffin on the side with one hand and smiled calmly, as if he had no fear of the person standing in front of him. But don't worry, I'm not here to fight. Despite the mask, Yakushido could still feel Obito's indifferent expression at the moment, so he couldn't help but let out a ha-ha and said with a smile. Really? For what purpose? Obito asked. I heard that not long ago, on behalf of Shao, you declared war on the 5 major countries, and at the same time pulled Chen Jun into your own camp. You should be in need of combat power at this moment, and I can provide you with combat power. After that, Yaoshido stretched out his tongue and swept his chin like a snake spitting out a letter. He was obviously very confident in the help he could provide. The news is well informed. Let's not talk about the declaration of war on the 5 major countries. I can actually know about the cooperation between Uchiha and Uchiha. Obito seems to be surprised that the pharmacist knows this. We have communicated many times, but all of them are hidden. As I said, I used to act as a spy with various countries. During this period, I naturally established all intelligence networks. It is not so difficult to control some things that I care about. Yaoshido didn't dwell on this topic too much. After all, the purpose of his trip was not to introduce to Obito how he collected information, so before Obito could speak, he glanced at the coffin beside him. The 5 people said, even if I don't introduce them, I believe you can recognize them. Yes, these are the Weasel, Scorpion, Deidara, Jiaodu, and Ghost Shark of Yuan Shao's organization. All of them are masters. And the chess pieces in my hand are far more than what you see. While trying to show off his strength with the soil, the corners of his mouth were inadvertently drawn long, and he looked like an old profiteer. What kind of payment do you need? Obito asked very simply. Sasuke Uchiha. The corners of Yakushido's mouth pulled a little longer. What are your intentions? Hearing Sasuke's name, Obito, who had been calm all along, also had some emotional fluctuations. It's very simple. I need living and young and energetic Uchiha people to study the purest truth in ninjutsu, that's all. Facing Obito's question, the pharmacist answered with an honest attitude. Really, I think you should have found the wrong person. If you are so sure of your own strength, you can go to Uchiha Chen yourself. Obito sneered with some playfulness. And, Lord Ban is really joking. If I plan to use the method you said, how could I find you here at this time? I understand Chen Jun more thoroughly than you, and I am absolutely not a last resort. I won't go that way, so Sasuke is the most suitable candidate, and as long as you cooperate, I believe there will be many opportunities for me to get Sasuke in this ninja war. And, I saw all shaking. He shook his head, then stared at Obito and said slowly, looking at the gesture, it seemed that he would definitely cooperate with him for convenience. Oh, why do you think I would be willing to cooperate with you? Obito sneered. At this time, I saw that the pharmacist didn't talk much, and the handprint was completed in an instant between the bouncing of both hands. Psychic, filthy earth reincarnated. Afterwards, the psychic formation of the original one-trick plot did not appear. Instead, it was the 6th coffin that rose from the ground in front of the pharmacist's pocket. The behind-the-scenes figures like 2 were also moved by it. Since I'm here, I'm naturally confident that you can promise me, don't you think so? Mr. Ban. Since the imitation porcelain was channeled out of the coffin, the pharmacist's whole body has naturally become a lot more frivolous. Even during the conversation, like Obito, there is a little playfulness. This is Uchiha Madara. Where did you get this bastard? At this time, Obito, who was under the mask, showed shock in his eyes, and even the tone of his voice revealed that the tone of disbelief. It can be said that since I brought this mask with my own soil, there has been very little emotional fluctuation, but at this time, seeing the person in the coffin, it turned up a storm in my heart. It seems, my exhibits are not bad, yes. You can't refuse me now. As for its origin, I don't think this should be an issue we should discuss at this time. While the pharmacist was complacent with his exhibits, Obito was thinking about something else at the moment. It seems that this guy is really different. I didn't expect that someone would be able to get Uchiha Madara's body. But the key is, I am now using the name of Madara Uchiha to stun and force the 5 countries to form a Ninja World Alliance to start the 4th Ninja World War. If this guy releases it to cause trouble, then my identity will certainly be suspected, and if so, my plans will be affected. Seeing that Obito hadn't spoken for a long time, Yao Shido seemed to have guessed Obito's scruples. Don't worry, I haven't told anyone about your identity. Hee hee, Yao Shido, I never imagined that you could achieve such an achievement. Fighting against you now will only reduce our combat effectiveness. When you come here at the right time, you are really well prepared. Being arrogant, naturally, it is not the time for the pharmacist to take a traitor who once knew the organization to give him some reassurance, but this is the end of the matter, and he has some ability to admit that after laughing in anger. So, Do hurriedly asked with surprise and a little doubt. Okay, I agreed to your request to join forces, but if you dare to do something to Sasuke without my permission, trust me, you can definitely make you regret it. Deal. Quote ellipsis. Chapter 298, Reunion. The sky was dyed blood red by the setting sun, and the peach-colored clouds were reflected on the river surface. Sasuke looked at the place in front of him that had been abandoned for a long time, with a complicated look in his eyes. This place was originally a stronghold of the Uchiha clan, and Chen personally informed him about this place. The Uchiha clan was also one of the largest families in the ninja world at the beginning. During the Warring States period, its influence was very extensive, even if it was later established with Chinsho. After the leaves, it is also extremely powerful. Therefore, in the Land of Fire, there are many old strongholds of the Uchiha family, and this place in front of Sasuke does not know how long it has been abandoned. Seeing the desolation in front of him, Sasuke's mind is complicated. Zaichin did not tell him the truth. Before, he had imagined this moment countless times, but now, when this moment really came, he felt a little bitter in his heart. After a long time, Sasuke put away his thoughts, his eyes changed, and he returned to his previous indifference. Although he had learned the so-called truth from Chen, he still wanted to get confirmation from Itachi. In the end, Sasuke's eyes firmly walked towards the stronghold. Tread, tread, tread. Light footsteps sounded in the dilapidated corridors of the base. Sasuke walked in the corridors, his footsteps unhurried and unhurried. He seemed to be surprisingly quiet, but the complicated expressions flashed in his eyes from time to time. He was not as indifferent as he seemed. The corridor that was not very long quickly came to an end. At this time, Sasuke stopped outside a gate at the end of the corridor, slowly closed his eyes, and then suddenly opened them. His eyes had already transformed into riding wheels. The blood-red color in his eyes made Sasuke even more savage. After that, Sasuke didn't stop and walked into the gate without any delay. In this spacious room, or a hall, the surrounding walls are also broken, and it seems to have been abandoned for a long time. On the wall at the end of the hall is a calligraphy and painting with the word, fox, and a few guyu. It hangs on it, and there is a stone seat in front of the wall. A figure wearing a red cloud robe with a black background is sitting on the seat with his eyes closed, and it seems that he has been waiting for a long time. Sasuke walked slowly in front of this person, stopped and looked at the person in front of him with complicated eyes. He didn't say anything, just watched quietly. At this time, the person in front of Sasuke was originally closed. His eyes slowly opened, and he looked at Sasuke blankly, not feeling the slightest surprise. Similar faces, the same blood-red riding wheel eyes, the same calm expression, the only difference is that there are two deep nasolabial lines on the other's face. This person is Sasuke's target for this trip, and Sasuke used to have all the time. The man you want to kill, Itachi Uchiha. Long time no see, Sasuke. Itachi was the first to speak to break the tranquility. There was no joy or anger in his indifferent tone, and there was no emotion on his face. The scarlet three-go jade in his eyes was as calm as ever. However, Itachi's heart is obviously not as calm as it appears on the surface. Compared to Sasuke who questioned him or even attacked him recklessly when he saw him before, the coldness at this time is a metaphor for Sasuke's growth. Is pleased. Yes, long time no see, I used to fantasize about the arrival of this day all the time. Sasuke's indifferent voice sounded, his face still had an indifferent expression, but at this time his riding wheel eyes had involuntarily entered the kaleidoscope pattern, this is only the uncontrollable mood swings will have such a reflection. Looking at Sasuke's kaleidoscope writing wheel eye, Itachi couldn't help but be silent for a while. He clearly knew the conditions for the kaleidoscope to open his eyes, and he had experienced that kind of pain. If possible, he would rather Sasuke never have to suffer from that guilt. Although he felt bitter in his heart, Itachi didn't show it. He still looked indifferent, and said coldly, "Kaleidoscope shaker. Your eyes seem to have grown a lot. But, your eyes, how far can you see?" So far, seeing Itachi as if nothing had happened, thinking of the truth that had been concealed all these years, Sasuke couldn't help but get a little angry, and thinking about the state of Itachi's body that Chen had said before, Sasuke seemed to be angry. He said coldly, "HMPH what I see with my eyes is the appearance of your death." Hearing this familiar answer, Itachi couldn't help but be stunned, because Chen had already said this to him once when he saw Chen, and now he heard it from another younger brother. Such a coincidence, and they are his two most beloved younger brothers. Even Uchiha Itachi, who has always been indifferent, couldn't help but feel a smile in his heart. Ignoring what Itachi was thinking, Sasuke had his own purpose for his trip. Although he had learned the truth from Chen and confirmed it in Danzo, he still wanted Itachi to answer him personally. "Tell me, what was the truth back then? Is everything Chen said true?" Facing Sasuke's questioning, Itachi was not surprised. From the time Sasuke was willing to go to Konoha with Chen and killed Danzo, he understood that Sasuke already knew something. Not surprising. Itachi was silent for a while, calmed down the emotions in his heart, looked at Sasuke and said indifferently, "Is it the truth? Who knows this kind of thing? Everyone will rely on their own knowledge and understanding, and will be bound by these things, and will also these things. Call it reality, but knowledge and cognition are quite ambiguous things, and that reality may just be an illusion, and people live in the world they imagine, don't you think?" Sasuke is obviously a little hard to restrain his emotions. There is a hint of urgency in his eyes. He obviously cares about Itachi's answer, and said in a hurry, "I didn't come here to listen to your nonsense. Tell me quickly, that guy Danzo and Chen said yes, is it true?" Itachi had no emotional fluctuations on his face, looked at Sasuke quietly, and finally said indifferently, "If I say no." Hearing Itachi's so casual answer, Sasuke couldn't help but feel a burst of anger in his heart, and he could no longer suppress his emotions on his face. Obviously, he was not satisfied with the answer at all, and shouted at Itachi, "Impossible, you lied. That guy Danzo has already admitted it. You were forced to kill your parents." Looking at Sasuke, who was feeling a little out of control, Itachi frowned slightly and sighed secretly in his heart, but his face was still expressionless, as if nothing could change him, and said indifferently, "In fact, you already believed Chen wishful thinking. If you don't, you won't listen to what I say now, anyway. Since I've reached this point, I'll tell you, but before answering your question, let me see if you have the qualifications." Quote. After saying that, Itachi slowly closed his eyes, and then suddenly opened them. The original three-goose jade-shaped writing wheel has been transformed into a shuriken-like figure. This is Itachi's kaleidoscope writing wheel eye. At the same time, Itachi exuded a chilling killing intent, and locked Sasuke in front of him, without the slightest mercy. Judging from Itachi's performance, it seemed that he wanted to put Sasuke to death. Chapter 299, Conclusion. Feeling Itachi's killing intent and those cold eyes, Sasuke's heart gradually calmed down. He remembered what Chen had said to him before he left, and he had already made up his mind. The same eyes, staring at the person in front of him. After taking a deep breath, he said coldly, "Really? Since that's the case, then, let's show you the power I have gained for revenge." The power of revenge. Itachi's voice sounded indifferently, and along with the voice, a strong wind suddenly blew up. Looking at it again, Itachi disappeared, and appeared behind Sasuke in the blink of an eye. As if time stood still. "Then show it to me." Humph. As Itachi's indifferent voice just fell, Sasuke's mouth traced an indifferent sneer, and at this moment, the two moved. As if they received some kind of signal, Sasuke and Itachi shot at almost the same time. Both of them had their right hands in the shape of a knife, and suddenly turned around and slashed at each other behind them. At the same time, the same action, as if copying and pasting. Boom! The arms of the two collided with each other in an instant. Both of them went all out without holding back their hands at all. The strong energy made the air around the two burst instantly, forming a strong wind, centered on the two of them. It spreads all around, causing the dust and debris under the feet to fly. A fateful battle ensues. The abandoned Uchiha family stronghold, the confrontation of fate, the contest of kaleidoscope writing wheel eyes, is being staged. Both Sasuke and Itachi have super strength. Although Sasuke's strength has indeed improved rapidly over the years, with the ability to write round eyes, it is by no means weaker than any one of the 5 shadows today, and Itachi has become famous. The powerful ninja for a long time turned on the kaleidoscope shaker at a very early time. He was much stronger than Sasuke in the use of shaker and his combat experience. However, this was also the fatal injury of Itachi, and the ability of the kaleidoscope was overused. Itachi's body has long been overwhelmed, and now it's just lingering. At first, there may be no difference, but after a long battle, the disadvantage gradually emerged. At this time, after a hard fight, the battle between the two also came to an end. This dilapidated stronghold could not withstand the damage caused by the battle between the two. It had already formed a ruin, and there was no trace of the outline of the building. And the black flames that can be seen everywhere are constantly burning, exuding scorching high temperature. In the ruins, Itachi was half kneeling. At this time, he looked extremely weak. He was panting violently, and his body was shaking greatly with his breathing. The consumption of this battle was all ready for him. It was about to reach the limit. The right eye was tightly closed, and the blood was flowing out from the slit of the eye. The half of the face below the right eye had been dyed red with blood, and the remaining left eye was staring not far ahead. Sasuke at the place. Although his body is approaching the limit, Itachi knows that his time is running out, but Itachi does not feel sad because of this. Looking at Sasuke in front of him and seeing Sasuke's growth, he feels relieved. Everything he has experienced over the years, finally it's almost over, but before that, he has to do one more thing. Sasuke's situation on the other side looks similar to Itachi. His left eye is also slightly closed, and blood flows from his left eye. The only difference is that Sasuke can still stand at this time. Thanks to the effect of pulsation, Sasuke's recovery ability already out of the ordinary. Looking at Itachi, who seemed to have reached the limit in front of him, a relieved smile appeared on Sasuke's face. The knot in his heart was about to be resolved, but when he thought of Itachi's situation, he couldn't help but feel a bit of bitterness in his heart. Throwing away other thoughts in his mind, after a short recovery, Sasuke has recovered a lot of strength, but his body is still very tired, but this is not worth mentioning to Sasuke. At this time he just wants to hear Itachi's answer. I saw Sasuke slowly walking towards Itachi. Although the state of his body made his footsteps a little staggering, his firm footsteps never stopped. After a short distance, Sasuke has come to Itachi, looking down at Itachi who is half kneeling. His eyes are a little complicated. Hey. It's so weak, it seems that Chen is right. Your body has reached its limit, now can say it. Hearing Sasuke's words, Itachi controlled his body and stood up staggeringly. His face was no longer indifferent, but looked at Sasuke with a doting smile, and said with relief, Sasuke, you are getting stronger. Seeing the familiar smile on Itachi's face, Sasuke was stunned for a while, and his heart was even more mixed. Childhood memories emerged like a tide, and he was immersed in the memories and couldn't extricate himself. Sasuke's brother, Sasuke was still unable to be ruthless, and Sasuke was briefly absent at this moment. At the moment when Sasuke lost his mind, Itachi suddenly released an illusion on the unsuspecting Sasuke. Sasuke obviously did not expect Itachi to suddenly attack at this moment, nor did Itachi even have spare strength. Plus after the consumption of the battle has almost reached its limit, so Sasuke has already been attacked before he can react. After doing all this, Itachi seemed to have used up all his strength, coughed violently, and finally spurted a mouthful of blood from his mouth. It seemed that his actions just made his injury more serious, but Itachi didn't care about it. He had kept this illusion from the beginning of the battle, just for this moment. Looking at Sasuke, who had lost consciousness in front of him, Itachi smiled very gratified, and slowly raised the two fingers of his right hand together and tapped towards Sasuke's forehead. "Forgive me, Sasuke. This is the last time." After saying this, he didn't do anything to Sasuke, but slowly stretched his hand to his eyes. Without any hesitation, he dug out his eyes abruptly. In an instant, blood was like blood. Note, it flowed from the tightly closed eyes, but Itachi always kept a smile on his face. Holding the eyes he had just dug out, Itachi groped for a small box from his body and carefully placed his two eyeballs into it. Finally, he put the small box with his eyes on Sasuke's body. Itachi understood that Sasuke had already known the truth. With Sasuke's character, it is impossible for him to gouge out his own eyes, so he can only do it himself. "Live with my eyes, Sasuke." After doing all this, Itachi seemed to have reached the limit, and felt an unprecedented ease in his heart, as if a huge boulder had been put down on his body, and finally fell down slowly with a relieved smile. Chapter 300. Sasuke's Decision. In the base camp of the Guoshao organization of Rain, in a dim room, dimly lit by candlelight, I saw a floor bunk placed in the center of the room, and there was a person lying on the floor bunk. This person turned out to be the one who Sasuke Uchiha, who made a lot of noise during the meeting of the 5 shadows of the Iron Country. The previous battle with the 4 shadows had completely overdrawn Sasuke's power, and at the last moment he even released the complete Susanoo, but that power was not something he could control, so the result can be imagined. Sasuke, who had reached his limit, was finally exhausted, lost consciousness, and was finally brought back by Chen. He has not woken up yet, and is temporarily resting in Akatsuki's organization in the Land of Rain. Sasuke, who was in a coma at this time, had his eyes slightly closed and his breathing was a little short. The tangled brows made the expression on his face a little grim, and it looked like he had a nightmare. Obviously, Sasuke was in a coma. Bad things. Weasel. Suddenly, Sasuke, who was lying on the floor, suddenly woke up and sat up from the floor. His face was full of sweat, and he was gasping for breath. Sasuke had obviously discovered that he was in an unfamiliar place now, and understood what was going on with him, so he whispered in annoyance, Is it a dream? It made me dream at that time. Damn, it turned out in the end, you still didn't tell me. Yo, you're awake. Just when Sasuke was still secretly distressed, a voice suddenly came from behind Sasuke, which shocked Sasuke. The nightmare just now made Sasuke lose his vigilance for a while, and he didn't find anyone behind him at the first time, but Sasuke also heard the familiar voice and relaxed again. Sasuke took a deep breath and calmed down his chaotic mood. He turned around and looked behind him and asked indifferently, "What is this place?" Chen looked at Sasuke thoughtfully and replied, "This is Akatsuki's interior." Huh. Hearing Chen's answer, Sasuke frowned. Obviously, he didn't expect them to be inside the Shao organization. Sasuke is not a fool. After thinking about it, he thought of something. Before the Kingdom of Iron, they were eagles. The team obviously had a holiday with Shao organization, and now it seems that when he lost consciousness, Chen and Shao organization have reached some kind of consensus. Sasuke looked at Chen doubtfully, as if waiting for Chen's answer. Chen seemed to have seen Sasuke's doubts, looked at him and said, "I have reached an agreement with the Shao organization. I will tell you later about this matter, but you. The state looks very bad. It should be thinking of something wrong. Good thing, and it's still related to Itachi." When Sasuke woke up just now, he subconsciously called Itachi's name, and Chen naturally heard it, so it was not difficult to guess. Hearing Chen mention Itachi, Sasuke's expression became obviously cold. He snorted coldly and said indifferently, "Humph. It has nothing to do with you." Seeing that Sasuke didn't want to answer, Chen didn't ask any further questions, and said with a chuckle, "Whatever you want, since you're awake, then I'm relieved, but I still want to remind you of something." Speaking of this, Chen's expression suddenly became serious, and Sasuke's heart sank after seeing Chen's expression. He knew that it must be very difficult or very bad to make Chen show that expression. Otherwise, Chen will not be like this, although Chen has not spoken yet, but from Chen's eyes, Sasuke has already guessed it faintly. Sasuke lowered his head and was silent for a while, then raised his head and said, "It's about my eyes. I believe you have already noticed it." Chen sighed slightly and continued, "Your kaleidoscope has already reached its limit. Before, you forcibly used the power that you couldn't control. It's a blessing that you didn't lose the light, and now I just use my power. Temporarily suppress it. If you force the pupil technique again, your eyes will lose their light." Sasuke was not surprised. After Konoha's battle, he already knew about the problem with his eyes. Although he was very cautious, it was out of his reliance on Sharingan, or indulging in the power given by Sharingan. Once the battle broke out, he couldn't help but use the shaker. Although he was mentally prepared, he still felt extremely lost in his heart, especially the power he came into contact with in the battle between the Iron Country and the Four Shadows, and the pleasure brought by the complete body Susanoo made him unable to extricate themselves. From frugality to extravagance is easy, from extravagance to frugality is difficult. If he hadn't been exposed to that powerful force, Sasuke might not have felt so uncomfortable, but he had really touched and even used that power, which would make him fearless even if he faced the Four Shadows. The power, however, was immediately lost, which undoubtedly made Sasuke even more unacceptable. Sasuke was silent at this time, not knowing what he was thinking, and Tatsuya didn't mean to comfort Sasuke when he saw this, and continued on his own. In a short while, Madara Uchiha will launch a war against the 5 great kingdoms, and the 4th ninja world will be launched. The war will also break out. With your current state, when the time comes. Oh, by the way, I also got news before that Konoha's 9-tailed man Zuri, your former teammate Naruto Uzumaki, seems to be hiding somewhere carrying out a practice called immortal art. His strength is estimated to have surpassed yours. Sasuke, who was already very unwilling, changed his face when he heard Chen mention Naruto's name, especially knowing that Naruto's strength might have surpassed him. Sasuke's hands clenched unconsciously. With a tangled look on his face, he seemed to be fighting an ideological struggle. Sensing Sasuke's mood swings, Chen smiled inwardly, but on the surface he stood up calmly and said, "Okay, let's not talk too much, take care of your body now, and you don't have to think about other things. I have some things to deal with, you should rest first." After Chen finished speaking, without waiting for Sasuke's response, he walked out of the room on his own, but just as Chen walked to the door, just as he was about to step out of the room, Sasuke's low voice came from behind. "Itachi eyes to me." Hearing Sasuke's words, Chen's footsteps stopped, and the corners of his mouth were slightly raised. He was not surprised. He seemed to have expected it, but he turned to look at Sasuke. "Oh. Has it been decided?"